Monday, May 20th is called to order. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, here he comes.
Item 2 is roll call. Need a second.
All right. Roll call, Mr. Frederick?
Here.
Mr. Gladfelty?
Here.
Mr. McAnally?
Here.
Mr. Long?
Here.
Ms. Roscoe?
She's going to be late.
Temporarily, but she's on her way.
Yeah.
No, okay. Ms. Jemison?
Here.
Mr. Crover?
Here.
Bobade is here. Ms. Freitag?
Here. Excuse me. Item 3 is approval of the agenda.
So move, Madam Chair.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
make a note of a
Oh,
change.
yeah, right, that's right, I should do that. So before we approve the agenda, we're actually going to take the public hearing number 6, and we are going to move it to after number 8. So what's that, would that be 9? No? It'll be 6 after 8.
That's fine.
Does that make sense?
So moved.
Who supported that?
Support.
I did initially, but then we,
You made it, and he supported it.
Mr. Gladfeldt, made the motion.
Okay.
Okay,
I withdraw my motion.
Okay,
Is this how this is going to go tonight? Okay, so now who made the motion?
Mr. Gladfeldt,
I made a motion.
And you
I
seconded it?
second, yes,
Okay.
with the changes.
I have a motion from Mr. Gladfelty, supported by Mr. Frederick, to approve the agenda as amended. Excuse me. Mr. Gladfelty.
Yes.
Mr. Frederick.
Yes.
Mr. Krova.
Yes.
Mr. Bobade.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Mr. McAnally.
Yes.
Ms. Jamison.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe is not here yet. Chair votes yes. The agenda is approved. The amended agenda is approved. Item 4, approval of the minutes. Item 4A is approval of the minutes of the regular Planning Commission meeting held on February 21st, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion from Ms. Jamison, supported by Mr. Krova.
Yep.
To approve the minutes from the meeting held on February 21st. Ms. Jamison.
Yes.
Mr. Krova.
Yes.
Mr. Frederick.
Yes.
Mr. Gladfelty.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe's not here yet. Okay. Mr. McAnally.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Bobade.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. That one is approved. Now we'll approve the minutes of the regular Planning Commission meeting held on March 18th, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
You supported? Okay. I have a motion from Ms. Jamison, supported by Mr. Long, to approve the minutes from the meeting held on March 18th, 2024. Ms. Jamison?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. McAnally?
Yes.
Mr. Krova?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
Mr. Bobade?
Yes.
Mr. Gladfelty?
Yes.
And Ms. Roscoe is still absent. Chair votes yes. That one is also approved. Oh, God. Next item we have is comments from the public on non-agenda items. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on anything that's not on our agenda tonight? Seeing no one, we'll move on. And as I said, number 6, the public hearings is going to be moved behind number 8. So that would take us to old business. and that would be SPR 2022036, Safeway Oil Service Center. And they're requesting site plan approval of a vehicle service center, including a 5-pump fuel station with 5,400 square foot convenience store with drive-through cafe restaurant and 15 accessory EV charging stations and 5,595 square feet oil lube shop and tunnel vehicle wash. And the petitioner is here.
Yes, thank you very much. Marcus Tommy from the Airport Authority. Here we also have Sam Baydoun and Mo Baydoun from Safeway Oil and Brian Davies from HRC. I appreciate the opportunity to come back before you tonight. We have provided more detail as it relates to the development on the airport's property. What we'd like to do is first start with if I can figure out the button, there we go. Just some general information that we have a vacant parcel of land, about 6.5 acres within the airport district. It's located on Middlebelt Road and Lucas Drive. And in this area, we are coming before you to present another wonderful development that would include several items such as a gas station, a car wash, an oil change facility, drive-through restaurant, and several others there on airport property. The areas of opportunity for this development, as we zoom out, is looking at the location of the development, that it will have no outdoor storage, lighting will be consistent, the landscaping, signage, aesthetics will all meet Romulus as well as the Airport Authority's requirements. Our project goals that we bring to you is for a comprehensive state-of-the-art facility. That facility will be offering services and experiences that include the fuel station, of course, gas and diesel. There will be no semi-trucks fueling at the station. Also a very large convenience store that's 24/7 that sells household items as well as vehicle products. We have that drive-through cafe restaurant, the EV charging stations, the oil lube shop, as well as the vehicle car wash. Additional goals that we have is that we intend to redevelop the site where it was previously occupied by 2 airport buildings that were demolished well over a decade ago. And we will construct the 4 buildings, again, convenience store, the oil lube, car wash, cafe and restaurant using high quality, durable construction materials. Additionally, there will be 61 surface parking spaces with future expansion to 106 to accommodate the EV charging stations. There will be no overnight parking. It will be an initial $10 million development that's funded by Safeway. The terms of the lease will be a 20-year lease with 2 5-year renewals, and we will require a midterm refurbishment of the buildings as required as part of our concessions plan and program at the airport. When I'm asked what a typical gas station looks like, this is what I envision. Nothing wrong with a typical gas station where you have a canopy, there's fuel pumps, and some type of store inside. The example that you see in front of you today is to show you what the Safeway Oil Company can provide. This is in West Bloomfield, showing the quality of the architecture and the building materials, as well as the other side of the facility. So this again shows that the Safeway Oil Company can provide quality in a finished product. And then this is a rendering of the development. This is not anything more than just an example. This is showing you again what the development could be. But again, it's going to be far from typical. It's not going to be a regular gas station. In fact, it's going to be transformational and offer experiences for the community. Again, we see that the materials, the design, it will be constructed, which elevates the ordinary into a destination. Crafted with meticulous attention to detail, we see that from left to right or from south to north along Middlebelt Road, we have the car wash, and then the oil change, and then the drive-through restaurant and convenience store. The traffic will circulate to the north with the airport road, which will be constructed and designed by the Airport Authority as a separate project, and that road will be constructed prior to this development being completed. Additionally, with landscaping, the landscaping's been updated to conform to both Romulus and the Airport Authority standards. We plan to have EV charging stations, but due to delays with Detroit Edison in obtaining the transformer equipment, the lead time will not allow for the EV chargers to be installed upon the opening of the facility, so consider that sort of a next phase. But there will be level 3, 240-watt electric chargers installed at the site. Traffic and environmental impacts. We've had both of those studies completed, and there are no other traffic signals that are required as part of that study, and all the environmental considerations have been addressed, which will also include conformity to the Wayne County Stormwater Ordinance. The community benefit obviously is very important. The airport has done a lot in terms of wanting to bring more to the outer edge of the airport property. We don't have any type of development like this, so we're excited to be able to bring something of this level to the traveling public that's not inside of the terminals. And some additional benefits, of course, for the Airport Authority is that as part of our residual budget at the airport, where the airport operates based on the funds it receives from the airlines, the additional revenues that we'll receive from this development go to offset our expenses. So there are no tax dollars used to support the operation for Detroit Metro Airport. It's something that each year we go to the airlines and we say, give us $400 million and we will clear the snow, we'll clear the ice, and we'll make sure the aircraft get to and from where they need to be. At the end of the year, if we have money left over, because we're a pretty good airport operator and being efficient, that money goes back to the airlines. In years where perhaps we have a really bad snow or winter, or we don't manage things very well, then we have to ask the airlines to supplement the difference. And I could probably say that over the last 8 years, there's only been 1 or 2 instances where we've had really bad winters and we've had to ask the airlines for more money. So they like it when we're very efficient and we're able to give money back to them. And the reason I mention all that is because it's developments like this that will give us the opportunity to give our customers, the passengers, the flying public, a chance at a lower price ticket. And what that translates into is that when we have more non-airline revenue coming in from developments like this, then we are able to operate at a lower cost, which means we don't have to ask for the airlines for as much money as we would without these developments. So those revenues offset the expenses. Detroit Metro is one of the most efficient airports in North America, and we hope to see that the revenue from this development will continue to allow us to move in that trend. Speaking of that airport road that we talked about a minute ago, this is the rent-a-car operation on Lucas Drive. You'll notice the different colors, and those colors represent the different rental car companies. And over the years, you basically have 3 major players that own all the brands. So you'll have Hertz with Thrifty and Dollar, Enterprise with National Alamo, and then Avis with Budget and Payless. And because all these brands are spread across Lucas Drive, we lack the operational efficiencies that you would have if those brands were co-located in the same location. So as part of a $125 million brand consolidation project, which is estimated completed in 2027, we'll have all of those brands in one area. So Block 1, that could be Hertz, Block 2, Enterprise, Block 3, maybe that's Avis, and then Block 4 is designed for any new entrants that we don't currently have at the airport. And the reason this is all very important is that you'll notice the red indicating the airport road, which will be redesigned, reconstructed, and funded by the Airport Authority, allowing that traffic flow to move from the Safeway development to Lucas Drive. So that should alleviate those concerns about traffic needing to turn left or turn right, in or out of the Safeway development. And lastly, the awards and recognition that the airport's received over the years. If you didn't know these already, the airport has received numerous awards for its customer service, for its efficiency, for being one of the best airports in North America. And I don't think you want me to stand up here all day and toot the horn of the airport, but there are many awards based on the level of service that we provided, the hard work and dedication and the leadership of the airport authority team. So next steps, you probably are aware that we recently went to the city council and received their approval on May 6th. We had our airport authority board provide a delegation of authority to our chief executive officer so that he can execute the necessary real estate contracts upon your approval here for the planning commission. And groundbreaking will commence as soon as permitting approval has been given. And once again, I just want to thank you for the ability to come before you to show our vision and commitment, and appreciate your support with this development. Thank you.
I have a couple questions. Going back to the design. Okay, so you say this is a typical gas station with gas pumps canopy and convenience store. Is this what we're going to get?
No.
Okay. Then you show this one here at Orchard Lake. Is this what we're going to get?
The current plans that have been submitted, that is not representative of what is currently designed for that site. That's just an example of
Okay.
the materials that have been constructed by the company.
Okay, so then you have the site rendering. Is that what we're getting?
We attempted
No.
to try and provide you with as much detail as we could, but we probably went overboard with the detail, and apologize for any confusion. It was an attempt to try and give you as much detail as to the quality of the building and design that we do. So the renderings that were provided for the submittal at the beginning of this month, I'm not sure what that date was, but it was several weeks ago, that is currently what is before you.
These that were handed out.
Why couldn't we have the brick like you have in Bluefield? Why aren't we worthy of that?
Well, I think that the company is definitely open to your suggestions and feedback, and we do have some materials here for your review.
Those are some of the ugliest building renderings I've ever seen. There's no appeal to it at all. It looks like a prison. I would be afraid to let my kids out of the car to go in at that drab gray slab-looking building. I mean, I'm very open to something more of what you showed us on the two-story gas station. But this kind of bait and switch here, I'll show you 4 different things, we'll tell you later what you're getting, is kind of difficult for me to handle.
And so basically, what color are we getting?
Thank you. So, I don't know, would you like these to be
You can
passed
bring them up.
around, or how would you like to look at them?
You can bring them, we can pass them around. Start at either end, no matter.
You need to take one over there and one over here, I guess.
That's ugly.
This is the accent color, right? And that's going to be the predominant color as you've brought it to us tonight?
Is this the accent or predominant?
Good evening. Yes, this is the limestone. We couldn't get a big chunk of limestone, so we try to get the
Is this
close.
accent or early building?
This is accent, yes.
This is accent?
Yes,
So the majority of the building is going to look like this?
will be brick, yes.
Be that dark.
We just built actually a very similar building in Royal Oak, actually still under construction as we speak, from the same color of the brick.
Madam Chairman.
Go ahead.
This is what I would like to see, this color scheme. Doesn't have to be two-story, it could be the exact same building. In my opinion, this looks better for our community. But
And we absolutely, we're open to any suggestions. This is the color what you like to see, this is the color what will,
it just looks more
It looks,
inviting.
it's fine,
it
Does
looks,
anybody have any disagreement?
with you 100%.
it looks richer.
that's fine. Absolutely.
Prior to that, the majority
Pardon me?
The majority of within the building that you guys are liking, that is the limestone that we're actually presenting. The brick material, the white one that's supposed to be the accent, that's what we're mentioning we weren't able to actually bring in a big slab of limestone. But the majority of the building will be that accented limestone that you guys are referring to.
Okay. So what is this one?
That is limestone.
That
what
is
we're-
limestone.
That color scheme is what we're shooting for.
Yes, yes.
Okay, is that a problem?
No, not at all.
Thank you.
Not at all.
That was easy.
Hang on. I'd like for the record is that the color scheme that I'm talking about is on the photo that's of the Safeway Oil located at 6495 Orchard Lake Road in West Bloomfield, Michigan, so that we have no argument about what we were talking about.
So it's like a brown with a beige, I guess.
Yes, we can definitely bring up that gray, make
Black.
it a little bit brighter. You guys, that darker brick seems to be a little bit of a concern,
And-
which we could absolutely bring up that.
Especially for right there at the airport. I mean, you know how many people are going to be driving past this thing,
Absolutely.
through the thing? And just to have what I would say is just a mediocre gray building.
There you go.
You know, it doesn't have to be two-story, just those colors.
Lighten the brick, keep the limestone that we're suggesting, and I think we should be great.
Exactly. That's not a problem?
Not at all.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was bothering me when I kept looking at those. Okay, I will now open up, any other commissioners have any questions or comments?
Madam Chair.
If you're getting ready to make motions, don't forget, are you guys have questions?
Yes.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, we're not ready to make motions.
We're not ready yet.
No, we were just concerned about the
I
color.
looked up and I didn't see anything. Sorry about that.
Two different
She didn't
places.
see your hand.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Long?
Yes. Marcus, welcome again. How you doing?
Very well, thank you, sir.
When you were here last time, I had a question in regards to the retail properties over at the airport. Now, that's on airport property, so how would we benefit as a community, as you stated, with the tax revenues regarding that project?
Great question, and I believe that we had asked the city assessor to provide us with what we think is the example of the tax that will go on the rolls. I think it's somewhere around $20,000 a year that will be taxed going directly to the city of Romulus.
And that's just with the service station part, or is that with the car wash? Is that with the drive-through restaurant and
That would be
everything?
the taxable value of the total property. I
Total
believe
property.
it's 20 grand a year annually that will go to Romulus for taxes.
Okay, and also with that development, with the connection to Lucas Drive on that roadway, you had mentioned that that would be developed before this project would proceed.
Yes, the road will be done before the grand opening of this facility, yes.
Doing construction or?
Brian Davies with HRC. So what Marcus is saying is that it will be completed prior to the opening of the Safeway facility. They're planned to be constructed concurrently with the
Concurrently.
airport, driving the roadway portion of the redevelopment on their site and Safeway funding their own development.
Yeah, thank you. You have a beautiful concept here, but my concern is just with the, no problem with Safeway Oil or anything. It's just with the Wayne County Airport Authority. We been going at this for a long time with the city of Romulus and Wayne County Airport Authority as far as tax revenue. So thank you for answering that question.
Mr. Gotfelty?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is, the proposed driveway out to Lucas Drive looks awful close to the old executive terminal. Is that going to be removed?
No, luckily, we have decided that the executive terminal will be the location for those new entrants. So that would be the building you would go in to go to the counter to check in your car or check out your car. So the executive terminal itself will stay. In fact, it's being rehabilitated for several $1 million, so that beautiful Art Deco and the architecture will all still remain, and that new roadway will run in front of the executive terminal. So it's all being redesigned by the Airport Authority, funded by the Airport Authority as part of our abilities to ensure not just the rental car brand consolidation project is successful, but also the Safeway oil development as well.
Thank you. I have one other question. We have a note here from our police chief regarding the traffic study. Have you guys addressed it or read it? He's also concerned about the traffic here at Hildebrand and Middle Belt.
Yes, we did, actually. We did provide the traffic study.
And we received the comments from the police chief. We understand that he's asking for no left turns to be allowed out of the southern driveway.
All right, thank you.
So that's what you will do? No left turns?
That's up to the county.
I don't, based on that traffic study, there was no requirement to restrict left turns.
Gotcha, okay.
I have a question.
Mr. Crowe?
Through the chair. Also, I have a question about traffic. As far as right now, if you're currently driving north on Middle Belt, you cannot make a left turn onto Lucas. Is that going to change at all, or?
No, that will still remain the same. That's a Wayne County requirement. And in terms of how traffic would navigate, folks that are coming through that way would be able to go through the Safeway development. So that airport road is there and designed to help alleviate either the stacking or the ability not to turn left onto Lucas Drive.
Okay. Yeah, because I figured with that traffic study or the comments from the police department, I thought maybe that would help out with the left turn right there at Middle Belt onto Lucas because of rental cars, but you are putting in a service drive, and they'll catch on right away to use that service drive.
Yes, I think just from a typical business standpoint, we see that having a gas station located next to one of the busiest areas of vehicle traffic, that folks are going to stop there, they're going to gas up, and then head on to the rental car facilities, or vice versa. But having that left turn and having that airport road available should certainly alleviate a lot of that congestion. And they will catch on very quickly. We're hoping they do, because we're hoping they spend their money there.
Also, I wanted to revisit the tax. You mentioned that they're going to receive, the city will receive income or property tax from that property, but they don't receive property tax from all the properties within the airport. What would make this one different? Is it because it's on Middle Belt Road?
So from my understanding, and I think that's why we asked Julie to try and provide us with the estimate, is that when a facility that the airport, the ground that the airport owns, if that facility is being leased not by the airport, by another entity, and they're making revenue, then upon, I believe it's December 30th every year, if that building is occupied, if that property has an entity, then they are taxed for the full year in the next year. So every December 30th, as long as there's a development there with an active lease, there will be property taxes coming to the city of Romulus.
Okay, thank you.
I got an email in your packet last time, I'm just pulling it up from Julie Elbert, that was between you guys. So we can go over that a little bit more if you can.
Carol, was that accurate? Was it about 20,000?
Exact.
Just, it was an estimate, I think.
Yeah, let's see. Attempted, among else have included 62 square foot, 100, okay, there it is. The estimated TCV, true cash value, based on today's cost manual information is $3,100,000. The associated annual property tax obligation for this TCV would be approximately $101,000. So that was Julie's estimate. She's actually got a note on this question, is this too high? So it looks like you guys had some conversation back and forth about it, so. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Madam Chairman?
Mr. McAnally?
Do you also pay a business license, don't you, to the city? Is there a licensing fee for businesses in this community?
We do have business licenses, yes.
Or does that go to the county? I don't know.
No, that's our registration, business
And that's really just for an emergency contact, so that's.
But there's a
that's-
fee associated with that.
Yeah,
isn't
but
there?
it's marginal.
Okay.
Yep.
The other question I had is, within OHM's report, they do mention we would conditionally support this request as long as a proposed southern approach prohibits left turning movements onto and from Middlebelt. Now, has that been mitigated at this point with the traffic study?
No, can you hear me?
Got to move closer.
The traffic study still states that we do need to have those, the left turn movement prohibited just on that south driveway. But we don't see the problem would probably alleviate itself once that drive to Lucas Drive is opened. If that makes sense.
Which you plan on having open prior to you opening, correct?
Well, concurrently,
Or at the same time?
The traffic study did not include that route to Lucas Drive.
I don't think that's correct. Actually, the original traffic study we did include the Lucas driveway and showed no adverse impacts, and OHM asked us to revise it and take it out.
Correct. So the traffic study as it stands has the worst case scenario. And so it does not include the Lucas Drive. With Lucas Drive open, we do not believe that the left turns would be a problem.
So that's my point. We don't have to specify necessarily that that left turn should be prohibited unless Lucas Drive is not open at the time UA is open.
Correct.
Correct? Okay. All right, that's all I have.
Any other questions or comments? Carol, you were saying earlier, somebody started to say something.
Oh, just that, and actually you picked one of them up with these waivers. And I just wanted you to be aware of, the condition that was on there probably was going to have some discussion, and it did.
I mean, one quick
Go
question.
ahead.
You've reviewed the planner's recommendations, the 12 items that were on her report, and you're in agreement with all? Do we need to add an item 13 specifying what the building materials should be as stated in this meeting?
I would certainly recommend on 2A where it says, the revised site plan being, submitted for administrative review. The first one is revisions to the building elevations, including submittal of the oil change and car wash, as determined by the planning commission. So you determined you want the earth tone colors, as depicted. Probably defer to you, what you're gonna have to enforce it when the plans come in, so what's the best
We
wording?
basically want the colors on the Orchard
Yeah.
Lake building.
Yeah, simple as that, just add that to
That might be
that.
easier than just saying.
So item 2 is dumpsters will have lids. 2A, you want to say, okay. Is there any other questions?
Any other questions or comments from anybody? Mr. Gladfeldy?
It's probably in our plans here somewhere, but I have a question. Is there irrigation plan for this site, for the landscaping?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I'm all set, Madam Chair.
If the airport authority allow us.
That shouldn't be a problem.
I thought I just had it in it. Oh, okay. That's one way I didn't look at. All right. Sorry. other questions or comments?
Madam Chair, one more question in regards to the site. On the sidewalk, how would you address that issue when you have the inner road and then you have the outer road to Middlebelt? How would that issue be addressed on both roadways? Would they be required to have a sidewalk on both corridors or what? Or just the one inner road?
I would, for pedestrian access, I would say just the one.
Right.
It's not actually a drive, like it's a substantiated road, so we don't necessarily require the sidewalk along that inner drive as well. But they do provide sufficient pedestrian access through the site, and they have a proposed walkway going from the car wash and lube center to the convenience store and restaurant.
Okay. No, that was just a question of concern because there is a lot of walking traffic there now without sidewalks at all on Middlebelt.
They do also have a sidewalk proposed along Middlebelt.
All right, good. Thank you. Wayne County.
Any other questions or comments? If not, a motion is in order.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve SPR 2022-036 site plan conditioned upon the 12 items listed, including 2A, which defines the building materials to be used similar or exactly as what is shown on the Safeway Oil 6495 Orchard Lake Road, West Bloomfield Township, Michigan example provided in our packet.
You're saying that's 2A
Yes,
in the recommendations?
yes.
I thought it was number 13.
No, 2A.
2A, okay.
That's what she said.
Support.
I have a motion from Mr. McAnally, supported by Mr. Long.
Madam Chair, just a point of interest. Mr. McAnally, you said SPR 2022, not 23.
Oh, that's why I was looking up at the other corner, unless that's incorrect, and the upper corner says CWA Associates. Let me go back to the front, to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's SPR 2023036.
There you go.
Thank you.
Change mine too. Ready? So I have a motion from Mr. McAnally, supported by Mr. Long, to approve the site plan for SPR 2023036 Safeway Oil Service Center, subject to the 12 items listed in the planner's report on April 22nd, 2024, and also including number 2A, which is in regards to the material on the exterior of the building. Correct? Okay. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I'm a little confused. We have two. One from the city planner, which has 5, and 2A would fit that, and then one from CWA Associates, which has 12.
This one is a summary. And my memo is a summary of the Carlisle ordinance.
And that's your 2A that we're referring to with the exterior. So that would not fit with the 12, with the 2A, because the 12-2 talks about dumpsters. So we need to correct that.
Oh, I see what you're, yeah, but that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
So we really almost need to make 13
Correct.
based on the
Yeah.
planner's report.
Yes.
Okay, see what I mean? So change 2A to 13. Thank you.
Two different lists of things. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any discussion? Was that Mr. Long?
Yes.
I have a motion from Mr. McAnally, supported by Mr. Long. Is there any discussion? Mr. McAnally?
Yes,
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Jemison?
Yes.
Mr. Prova?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
Mr. Gladfelte?
Yes.
Mr. Boboade?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The site plan is approved. Good luck, gentlemen.
Good luck.
Make it pretty. You know, you're right there, well, you know. We know where to find you. Okay, moving right along, I think. I have my notes mixed up now. We have SPR 2023-010A1 Sing Trucking Incorporated. Construction of a 7,700 square foot trucking facility and reuse of property for airport vehicle shuttle establishment. And Commissioner's here.
Good evening, Mark Allsbrooks, Partners in Architecture. Thank you for being here tonight. This is a resubmit from earlier in the year.
This is Mike.
So it's a review of the project. The site is at 12900 Inkster Road. You can see as the aerial shows there. So we are proposing a truck storage or a trucking facility on a portion of the site and a airport shuttle cars on the other portion of the site. The existing site contains what used to be a house, some open field area, some existing vehicles and stored materials that are being removed or have already been removed by the owner. You can see on this slide some of those existing conditions, some existing trees toward the back of the site, existing woodlands and whatnot. So here's the breakdown of the site for the different uses. Proposed for the A1 trucking would be 5 acres, and then for the A1 airport cars is the majority of the existing aspects of the site down at the southeast corner, which is about 1.9 acres. Some of the site demolition and items to remain. So the majority of the trees and woodlands that are on the site are remain, except for a few of the trees along the front of the site that would be removed in order to put in the new driveway and the new sidewalk, which would be, of course, included in any of the new landscaping. And there's also some existing sheds and other stored materials on the site that are planned to be removed. So the new proposed site plan is a 9,200 square foot building to service the trucks of this business. Only company-owned vehicles would be serviced here. It would be light maintenance for these vehicles. There's a number of trailers stored at the top of the north of the site, as well as a number of tractor trailers to tow these. They would be leaving the site and returning daily and not storing materials within them. They would be going to facilities to pick up materials and then dropping them off at other locations, not storing anything on the site. And then for the airport cars, that is down in the lower right-hand corner, the southeast corner of the site, where there is a number of shuttle vehicles. I think it's believed 5 or 6 shuttle vehicles are owned by the business itself. Only 2 of them are stored on site. The other ones are operated by their employees and kept at their house, so only 2 would actually be stored. And that is shown some storage for those 2 vehicles at the back half of that site, up against the new proposed parking for the airport, or for the trucking. Landscaping, obviously we have lots of new landscaping going along the Inkster Road side. We would definitely want to have a good approach side to the public. blocking any views of trucks or vehicles stored on the site, as well as having a good visual appeal. Utility plan, we would be going off of the city's public utility, except for the sanitary, that would be off septic. And circulation, we've shown in our traffic studies, the ability for the trucks to be able to get in and out of the site, access the different buildings, as well as the emergency vehicles to be able to make a full rotation on the site, plenty of room for ability to get to the building, as well as the truck parking. And then our proposed building floor plan, it's pretty straightforward with 3 full pull-through service bays, 1 back-in and pull-in service bay, and then a storage and smaller office space with a storage mezzanine up above. Elevation of the building would be mostly metal siding with, there is some A1 trucking signage up at the corner of the side facing Easter Road. This is to give an idea of some of the precedent materials for the different items of the site. So metal sided building, two-tone, the lighter up top, darker down bottom. You can kind of see there's two metal samples down the lower left-hand corner. And then some of the lighting that would be attached to the building as well. And there's a little overview of some of the plantings that we plan to place around the site to meet those landscape requirements and really bring the beauty up of this existing site with all the stored items. It look very good. Thank you.
Did you have anything to add? Jeff or Carol? Opened up to the commissioners, Mr. Gladfeldy.
Good evening. I drove by the site over the weekend. I see a lot of stuff parked in there I thought was going to be cleaned up. I see a lot of trailers in there.
Yes, there is some existing trailers in there. I know that the owner is operating as part of his business. I believe some people from the city went by to assess some existing vehicles, personal vehicles types that were cleaned up off the site. License plates were, for the business were,
Yeah, we went by there prior to the last time they came before you guys, and there was more than just the trailers there, and they removed stuff that was stored there, a lot of equipment, and there was a pretty extensive cleanup of a lot of stuff, but the trailers of their trucks that they're using now are still there, but they did get rid of a lot of other equipment that was not being used and just being stored there, and that was a few months ago when we went by there.
Anybody that travels Inkster Road over there in the morning or at night, southbound Inkster is backed up way north of Brest Road. It's only a Class B road. It's not really made for trucks. We really don't need any more congestion over there. I'm not opposed to your project, but there's other places in the city this can be built. It's the same way in the evening, between 3 and 5. It's incredible, that traffic coming down there. I don't know how you'll get out of your driveway. I don't see Class A road coming there in my lifetime. I hate to say it, but I'm not going to support this. I think it can be built some other place.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Madam Chairman. I think last time you were here, we had like 60-plus comments that we had to deal with, and I'm pleased to see we have it down to 8, which is a remarkable feat. But to the comment about the Class A road, do you have permits? How is that, where are you at with that?
Yes, we have, our civil engineer has met with the county on the road, and they're okay with, or they approve of our use as long as we meet any of weight restrictions that they apply to the road, which we do. Our trucks don't carry any weight other than themselves.
What is the exterior colors that you're using for this metal exterior?
What are the colors? The options available are that pinwheel we're proposing a two-tone of beige colors, a darker and a lighter color that you can kind of see down in that lower left-hand corner. It's a standard colors that the manufacturer makes, so they could be any color from that pinwheel. So open to any suggestions if you have any others.
Okay, you're talking left, the little sample, not right, the actual building.
Yes, sorry, left. Those two samples, the two different rectangular metal pieces.
To me, my individual choice would probably be a more contrasting tones, but that's just me. I'm not going to speak on anybody else's behalf.
You're talking about here the
I'm
beige
talking
and-
more of a noticeable contrast like there.
Yeah, because we just kind of shot down the last picture with those colors.
But that's just me speaking.
Yes, we had picked those, I think, a lot to go with just the plants that we had planned to put on the site. You know, it's more natural feel, but I don't disagree that the one on the lower right has a little bit more contrast. It might bring up some appeal, so definitely open to different colors.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Is it going to be like the lower right, the colors? Is there going to be that stripe across the bottom?
Yes, yes.
Are you putting the doors on the short side or the long side?
The doors are on the short side, so they're facing...
Like the top one, right?
Oh, sorry. Yes, like the top one, the doors would be not visible from the roads. They would face north and south.
Right.
Yes. There would be a few smaller man doors for people to access, employees to access, as well as some windows along that Inkster Road side.
Any other questions or comments from anybody? Mr. Long?
Yes, Madam
You got
Chair.
some too? Okay, Mr. Long.
I'm sorry. Could you tell me, do you have any plans for, in the future, refueling on that site?
The owner does have a above-ground, smaller, I guess, farm-sized, I think it's 5,000 gallon maybe, tank, and it is planned to be relocated on the site, but to remain, it would be, it's at the very far west of the site, there's a small rectangular square with the X through it, so it's a concrete pad for that. So it's located behind the building, not visible from the site, or from the road.
Was that addressed by the fire chief, or do you know if Dave
Sorry,
addressed
what
that?
was your question? Sorry, I couldn't-
Was that addressed by the fire chief? Because I didn't.
I know that the fire chief would have to approve of the location and approve of the fuel being there and make sure there's adequate coverage, for hydrant access and all that. I do know that. I know the fire chief, I don't know if he addressed it in his letter.
Yes, he has addressed it in previous letters, I remember, and we would be getting approval from him before placing any fuel storage on that specific spot.
Thank you.
I have a letter here from the fire department dated May 9th. Should be in the packet.
I think it came up in a previous review, like you mentioned. This is, what is this? This is the fourth review. It was in one of the earlier ones where there was some uncertainty whether it was going to be on there or not, and I think his response was that he's going to pick it all up during
Yeah,
the
'cause I did
construction
read it
review if it's
someplace.
there.
I just didn't
And if it
know.
were to come in the future, he'd pick it up when it came in the future. So,
So
is it out there now?
I believe so. I don't know if it is full, if it has fuel in it or not.
Okay,
Because we have had conversations with the owner where we told
Yeah.
him that he can't have that right now at this time. So,
That's, I think, what it was, that it wasn't being used, and so,
yeah.
Oh. Yeah, This is just about the building, fire department.
It doesn't say anything about it.
Doesn't say anything
About
about that tank.
Madam Chairman.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Then just look over
Through the
it.
chair to the planner. So if we go through the requirements, the summary, contingent 2, should we add another one that the fuel tanks be reviewed by the fire department?
Yep,
before
I
they-
was just going to that page to add it.
Is that page number 9?
Maybe 9,
Yep.
fuel storage.
Fire department. Did you have a comment, Mr.? Go ahead.
Yep.
I think you're done.
Yeah, two things. You mentioned you met with the county, and they indicated they were going to make that a Class A road. Did they give you a time frame on that?
They did not provide a timeframe. I know it's in the future land use summary, and they've indicated, it's in the plans to bring it up to Class A road as well. They did not provide any specific timeline for that.
And then also in your notes, you have it where you'll have a maximum of 20 trucks per day. What would be your average amount of vehicles or trucks per day?
Real quick, let me- There is 8 actual tractor trailer trucks that the owner owns, so that only that many trucks could be on the site at one time. He has other trailers that would be, they need to switch trailers. It would be anticipated to be 1 trip per day for each of those tractor trailers, and then the accompanying trip on their personal vehicle to the employee that drives those trucks.
Okay, so as far as semi-truck, there's approximately 16 coming and goings throughout the day then?
Yes.
Eight trucks and come and go once a day. He doesn't have intent to repair, or he's going to have more trucks coming that are not his, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Only his vehicles will be on the site and repaired on the site. There will be no outside, non-company owned vehicles.
Okay, so it's personal vehicles and about 16 trips a day. Okay, thank you.
So that's a good question. I'm glad we got that on the record, because I think that's been one of the problems with this site in the past, that he was leasing or letting his friends, park there. There was a lot of vehicles that weren't his, that weren't part of the trucking companies, so.
Yes, and I believe that was part of, when you guys went out there to the site.
Yeah,
It
they
was
got
informed that he
cleaned
had to remove all of those non-company owned vehicles.
Yep.
Right.
And it would be my understanding, if the board does approve a variance for you to use that road, it would be conditional for his trucks only, not for other people's trucks, and not for a repair business. That's if the board were to approve it. So there would be a condition on that if it goes through.
Okay. Yes, we're okay with that.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
That Inkster Road is under the authority of the county. We can't grant a variance here for that. And there's a note here from OHM on page 2 from OHM. It's a little bit confusing, but it talks about our section, ordinance section. It says a variance request has been made for the exception to the requirements to meet all access to be made from a Class A road. Inkster Road is not Class A. It said an Inkster Road is a county road and proposed to be improved to meet Class A standards.
When?
When? None of us know when.
Well, is that, are you done?
Yeah,
with that?
we just don't have the
Sorry.
authority to grant that variance. It's a county road, not a city road.
Yeah, well, I was just going to go back to the vehicles and that. He's proposing to redevelop the site for a small trucking company with 8 to 12 company trucks and 14 trailers, and an airport shuttle establishment. So he has 8 to 12 company trucks?
He has 8 company-owned, trucks, and then he has, I believe it's
And what are the other 14 trailers?
company-owned as well, but he doesn't have as many trucks as he has trailers.
He doesn't have many tractors?
Yes, as many tractors as he has trailers.
With regard to that question about the variance, that's been in the city zoning ordinance for a long time. There's been a few granted. The condition always, there's always a requirement at the Board of Appeals level that there's something from the county indicating, sometimes we see the actual permit, they've actually got it, or some indication from Wayne County as to what the restrictions are and what the, basically the restrictions on that approval are. So the city doesn't, in essence, trump the county in terms of allowing that use. We defer to the county and abide by their restrictions. And if the Board of Appeals is so inclined to grant variances, they run with that condition. Jerry, you probably remember with Race Transport, that was even more complicated because it dealt with a culvert that they had to do a structural analysis on, and it got into a much, much bigger picture in addition to the approval from the county on the use of it. So it can be as simple as, yep, walk in with a permit from the county, and we'll listen to that all the way to if there's additional items that need to be investigated as part of the variance request. But we do have and we have granted that variance before.
But he would have to have something from the county. And you said you already talked to the county?
Correct, yes.
Okay, would they give you something in writing?
We have correspondence in writing for that, yes.
And Lindsay, that's what we've seen before, right? Either that memo, if we don't get the permit, would it be likely that they'd issue the permit prior to as part of engineering?
Sorry. Typically, the county would also like to see site plan approval before actually issuing the permit. However, we have seen a preliminary permit being, or a letter stating that the permit is acceptable.
So it's one of the reasons why they come here. This has come up on some other projects where they want to jump right to the county, or I'm sorry, right to BZA. They've been working with the county, and it's like, no, we want you to see the plan again. Like Race Transport is the most recent one that comes to mind. That you saw, then they went to get their variance, and then I think they may have even had to come back. I can't totally remember if they came back to see you or if we did it administratively, but.
Basically, what he needs then is some sort of documentation from the county that he can take to the BCA for the variance.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense? Yes.
Yes.
I have a comment, Rachel. Mr. Gladfield, you raised the issue of the traffic on Inkster Road, and I didn't hear a response from you. Is that something you would like to respond to with respect to that traffic? You know, he even alluded to the fact that you may not even be able to get out of the property. I mean, that should be a concern. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, for the most part, our traffic is not going to coincide with rush hour in the morning or the evening. For the most part, it will be sporadic throughout the day, coming or going. At least that's how the business currently operates and how the trucks currently run. That's the owner has indicated to us. We don't anticipate to increase the traffic in a significant way, more so than one or two vehicles that have to leave at that time.
So is it going to be a 24-hour facility, or I'm just trying to understand?
No, it is open normal business hours, like 8 to 5.
Okay.
The trucks themselves, though, don't all leave at 8 and return at 5. Depending on distance of different runs that they have to make throughout the day for, they're going to one facility to pick up supplies and then taking it to another one. So they have different distances. When they return, they're done for the day, so they'll leave. So that could be at any point throughout the day.
So it will add to rush hour traffic. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Yes, there will be, at least at some point, some cars during the rush hour period. If it's 3 to 5 or 3 to 6, somebody will have to leave the facility at that point.
However, that's current traffic. They're operating, and they had been operating for several years with a lot more on that site before Jeff's department got them cleaned up. So we're not going to be seeing any increase in traffic beyond what's there now. And actually, it's been reduced in the last several months with getting a lot of those trucks out of there that he was leasing to or letting people, use. So.
I believe it's been 2018, 2019, if I'm correct in the timeline. The owner's been there?
I am.
Maybe 16?
Yeah, I'm not positive on the exact date. That was prior to partners coming on with this project. But yes, we've worked, with the city to limit the number of vehicles on site that come and go and the number of activity that's on the site itself.
So the only vehicles that will be coming in and out of the property and staying on the property are owned by Sing, by the company. So they won't have other companies coming in or other trucks.
No other companies would be on the property. Nobody else would be serviced in those service bays. We've made that very clear to the owner. He is aware of it. He understands.
Mark, can you go back at the very beginning, I think, of your presentation? Do you have that aerial that shows what it looked like? Yeah, there.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
so if you
the
kind of look through that and you see that area, including some of what, where the detention pond's going to be, that was loaded with trucks. Since 2016, and actually even before that, this was what was this, Ed's Bushel? It was a landscape, it was a contractor's establishment, and there were trucks back there.
That wasn't Ed's Bushel Stop, was it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was, yes. It was Ed's Bushel Stop. They got, were you on the commission in 1991? You might have been. That's when you guys approved the special land use. And there were trucks there on a gravel surface, and then over the years, it just expanded.
No, I
and-
wasn't 99.
No?
I don't think it was on it.
Before your time?
It
It was a long time ago.
I think
It
it was
was a
on
long
12.
time ago. But when the current owner bought it in 2016, some of the trucks were there. He bought it for the airport car business, and at the time even, we talked to him when he was turning in his property transfer affidavit, the assessor's office sent him over, and he was told, when we heard about airport cars, it sounded more like it was going to be car storage. That's where they were all going to be out there, and that wasn't permitted in the district. He sort of set up shop with that. I think the trucks that were on the site and the people that had these long-term leases were continuing, that he added to it. He added, I don't know if he had his own trucking company before, or if he created it, but he had had some property and let's use it. and-
So, yes. So in this picture, are those trucks still on the property in those haphazard ways they're being parked?
Do you know, Jeff, when you were out there? I can hop near.
When I was out there, the last time I was out there, which has probably been a month and a half or 2 months ago, they were organized on the top side of that picture now.
Okay.
And all the other vehicles and everything had been removed, but I have not been out there in probably a month and a half or 2 months.
And that area is all going to be paved or blacktopped or something?
Yes.
Where those trucks are right now?
Yeah, well, we're removing all of that existing paving and the gravel that's on the site.
Okay.
And paving where we show on the proposed site, that'll be all asphalt and concrete. And then that portion to the west of the site where we show the detention and everything, we're going to reseed that, landscape it, bring it back up to a healthy condition.
Mr. Frederick?
Just a couple of comments and questions through the chair. So I remember the last time you came to us, you mentioned there would be a resident security caretaker on site living in the home.
Yes, there is a night security guard.
All right, that's still,
Correct, yeah.
okay. And the next question is through, it's on the OHM report, page 2, under variances and waivers, the fourth item, construction within the Wayne County drain easement. We defer to Wayne County Resources Office to determine how to proceed. Can you give us some clarification on what that means?
Sure. First of all, there is some landscaping that is being proposed within the drain. There is, I believe, the land drain on the north side of this property. There's also, with their proposed septic field, there might be some concern establishing one so close to the drain. And that's in addition to the Inkster Road not being currently Class A developed. So those are our main concerns with Wayne County, and that was what that comment was referring to.
So in future tense, when, let's just suppose that Inkster Road goes to Class A, what would the requirements be then as far as septic to sewer?
The septic system doesn't have any tie to Inkster Road. It's more to do with, the city does not actually own sewer on Inkster Road. It belongs to the city of Taylor, as does the water main in this location. And the existing home, I believe, is on a septic system. And so they are proposing to have this new building also tie into a separate system.
Gotcha. And I know there's concerns upstream on the county drains. Do we have any information on what's been done to address any of those concerns?
Not really, that's all through the county.
Nothing, Jeff? Nothing on that?
I don't have anything. I know I have tried to be in contact and in communication with a lot of stuff on county drainage. I actually met some of the county engineers out on some different drains, but I feel like I seem to always get lost in the weeds, whether it's the county drain commission or it's the road commission's drain, or where the issue is or where the problem is, and that's kind of still where I'm standing, shuffling, trying to figure things out in many different areas.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Long?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. This question might be directed to Carol or either Jeff, but since this is not a Class A road, is there any plans by the developer here? I don't know, as far as the pass-through lane going north on Inkster Road?
That would come up in the traffic impact study, and if it was warranted based on the amount of traffic that this was going to generate. Again, we already know what this is going to generate because it's generating it now. So if that had come up in the traffic study, correct, that would then be a requirement. Or if it's a requirement of Wayne County?
Correct, and this particular site does not generate enough traffic to actually require a traffic impact study. They did provide a traffic summary, which we were in agreement with.
So you don't feel the need for a pass-through lane for that traffic going north and the trucks are going in left into the property?
Generally speaking, the county does not appreciate a lot of upgrades to the road without having an actual warrant needed, and that is dictated by the traffic impact study. And since we're not requiring one, there's no warrant necessitated. So.
Well, I can refer to Ecorse Road right now to tell you, what kind of trouble we can get in by not having a study.
I understand.
Thank you.
So the impact study says that we roughly are going to see 20 trips daily to and from the A1 trucking. Okay, then it also goes on to say that approximately 16 vehicles will come and go from the A1 airport cars portion. That's your report, page
Correct.
4.
Yes.
So now, do people go into the airport, is that they park there and get on that?
No.
Okay, so why do we have that many cars? Why do we have 16 vehicles? How many shuttles do you have there?
There's only 2 stored on site, and there's 2 office people that, for dispatching, that are on site for the airport cars. And then for the trucking, there's 2 office staff as well as the people driving the trucks.
I'm concerned with how are we getting, we have two the shuttles. How do we end up with, what did I just say, 15?
16.
So the 2 shuttles, the 2 airport cars come and go once in, once out. So there's 4 trips with the airport cars.
Correct.
Right? And then with the trucks, he's got 8 trucks that those people go in and those people go out. So 8 and 8, there's 16. So is that where the math comes from? We'll let Lindsay answer this. I should stay away from these kind of numbers.
Between the two, it's the summary for A1 trucking and there's a summary for A1 airport cars. The 16, you were correct in the beginning with the 2 people on site coming and going for, as well as the 2 cars on site coming and going for 4. There's also 6 other cars that are owned by the staff, or not, they're owned by the business, but operated by the staff that aren't stored on the site, but they can come back to the office at some point in the day if there's a lull in activity with transport, but they're not stored there, so there's infrequent or inconsistent times a day where they'll be to and from the site.
So if I may, it's my understanding that this is similar to a taxi service where they're called, they'll dispatch a car, and they might have another car from another location coming and waiting, and then leaving as the need for pickups arrives.
But, so the cars go, the vehicles with the travelers come to your spot?
The travelers do not.
Right.
It's
So it's
a
just the-
dispatch. So there's a couple cars sitting there and somebody schedules something, they need, a car. They need a car with a driver to drive them around town for a weekend. So the car,
Okay, sure.
maybe dispatches out and then like she said, they interchange
So it's
as
their
they go
home
with their
base.
driver.
That's their home base, basically.
That's their home base, yep, that's
Right,
a good way
okay, now
to
it makes
describe
sense.
it.
When I saw
Yep.
the 16, I'm like,
Yep.
okay, that makes sense now. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's confusing.
I didn't
It's
either.
taken several years for us to
Yes.
figure it all out, so.
It's just that we were concerned with the amount of traffic on Inkster, and that's why, when I saw that, I just, okay. Any other questions or comments?
Just
Go ahead.
through the chair, in the OHM report under landscaping, there's some concerns about what's shown on the landscape plan that's not feasible. Like, for instance, like item number 4, 2 autumn blaze maples proposed behind the existing office building cannot fulfill this calculation. Just, there's 4 items there.
Those are relatively minor. In terms of the maple trees, they're just too far away from the parking lot to count as parking lot trees. That's why that comment is there. A lot of it's just cleanup in terms of where the contour lines of the berm line up between page sheets. It's mostly housekeeping, not necessarily anything dramatic that will change the layout of the site.
Thank you.
And that's included under conditions for additional landscaping or other forms of screening in the conditions.
Any other questions or comments? I guess not. If not, a motion, I guess, is in order.
Madam Chairman,
Mr. McAnally.
I make a motion to recommend, to approve site plan for SPR 2023-010, A1 Sing Trucking, A1 Sing Airport Cars, subject to the 9 conditions, with item 9 being on-site fuel storage to be approved and reviewed.
Do we also need to add that he has to have a letter before he goes for his variance
From the county.
from the county? So that would be 10?
And number 10 would be adding a letter of
Okay.
You know what, you could add it right to number 1, where it says a variance being granted to allow access
Okay.
on Inkster Road.
including a letter.
Including,
Yeah. Okay.
Including,
So including a letter from the county, okay. So we have 9.
Still have 9.
yeah.
Is there any discussion?
I have a
Support.
question.
Go ahead.
So, Dan, your first comment, was that about company-owned vehicles only on the lot? Is that what you were referring to? When you added the number 9.
No, it was fuel storage. They had a remote
Fuel
fuel
storage.
tank that nobody's reviewed.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure the fire department reviews that before they get approval.
And I know we mentioned that we probably want to put something in there that there are no vehicles stored that are not
Right.
owned by the
You're
owner.
right.
Yes.
could
That's
add that.
actually in the use statement, but I like the idea of adding it as a
We
condition.
could add that as
Okay,
number 10.
so that's number 10 now.
Yep,
I
Thank you.
amend my motion to include that.
yep. No
That's-
non-owner
Vehicles.
vehicles,
Stored on site.
yep.
Well, now,
Madam
the shuttle
Chair.
people will leave their car there if they're driving the shuttle, right?
But they wouldn't be stored there, they'd just come in
Right,
there,
right,
go to
right.
work,
They'd
and
just
then
be
when they're
having
done, they go home.
Gotcha. Okay. And
Madam
then
Chair, I do
Mr.
have one question. The drivers of the shuttle, where will they park at? Will they come to the facility and park? Or where will they park their vehicle?
Only 2 of them will park on site. The other ones drive their shuttle vehicle from their place of residence. If they happen to come to the site, they don't always come to the site every day. It's 16 was like the most times that most trips that would happen during a day. In most cases, it's less.
So they take their vehicles like a personal vehicle?
Correct, yeah, they drive them to and from work.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Can we change on 10, rather than saying no non-owner, how about it might sound better if it's no non-company vehicles? And that way, because there's 2 companies there, there's a trucking company and then there's the airport car company. But
Same
they're all
owner, though.
So
Same
no
owner.
non-company vehicles stored on site.
Right,
Yep.
yep, yep,
They can come and park and go home. And
right.
Okay.
Okay, is that your
That's-
your
I think
motion?
that's it.
Madam Chair, I support that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Long. So I have a motion from Mr. McAnally, supported by Mr. Long, to approve SBR 2023-010 A1 Sing Trucking, A1 Sing Airport Cars, subject to the 10 items
Noted.
on page 8 of the planner's report, which includes fuel storage reviewed by the fire department and non-company vehicles not stored. Correct? Right. Any more discussion? Mr. McAnally?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Mawade?
Yes.
Mr. Gladfelty?
No.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Jameson?
Yes.
Mr. Prova?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Good luck.
Thank you.
I got 2 different things. I got the same thing.
All right. Next, we have SLU 2023-012, quick, excuse me, quick trip diesel fueling. Project is to develop a service station including vehicle and diesel fueling and convenience store with carry-out restaurant. Petitioner is here.
Hello, thank you everybody for allowing us to come back and talk to you about our company again.
If you could give us your name and address for the record.
Yes. My name is Skylar Evans, address 50 South Main Street, Suite 200, Naperville, Illinois. So I went through this presentation last time, but for those of you who weren't here, just a quick overview. So we're a private company. We started in 1958. We currently have a little over 1,000 stores and over 24,000 employees nationwide. We are a private company, so there's no shareholders besides the employees ourselves. One of the top places to work for on many lists, Fortune list 100 best companies to work for, top 100 privately owned companies. Most of our locations generate between 20 and 30 new positions. This one, being the size that it is, would generate around 25. Through COVID, we never laid anybody off. It's something that we're extremely proud of, making it through the pandemic that way, and continuing to grow as a company and support our employees. Each location that we have, on average, generates $1.3 million in local and state taxes. We donate about 5% of our profits to charitable organizations. United Way and Bolts of Honor are the two main ones that we work for, and then we also do stuff within each community that we we have a store in. We're also a nationally recognized safe place. So that is whenever a youth in danger doesn't feel safe at home, they can come in. All of our employees, from the store employee, the clerk in the store, to the manager, to our employees up at corporate office, all know how to handle that and work with the local police. And last time that we were here, we had some questions that we wanted to address in our presentation. I'm sure that there will be several more afterwards. So as I said before, 20 to 30 local positions, and we do promote from within. Almost every single position that we hire for is sent within the company first before we go external. Even the jobs that require master's degrees, cybersecurity, stuff like that, we still search internally before we reach out. So we do, one of the concerns was cleanliness of the company, of the site with tractor trailers. And I wanted to address that. Each time that we do a shift change, there's 3 per day. We ensure the manager on duty goes around and takes a look at the property, make sure everything's good. Throughout the rest of the shift, that manager will continue to do what we call walks, and they'll walk around the store, make sure everything's good to go. From the curb all the way, out just outside of our property. One of the things that we like to do is, as a requirement for this location would be public improvements. One thing that we're really proud of as a company is we don't ask for money to help with those public improvements. So in the context of this project, it would allow the Tifa district to put more money into the C3 district that would be behind our project. Employees are trained to interact with customers and prevent parking along the streets, as well as within Quick Trip property. So another concern was the trucks parking along the roadway. Again, we're trained to handle those situations politely and request help if needed. We have a proven track record of promoting growth wherever we go. In Kansas City, we have a couple stores that are, right next to a Topgolf or an entertainment district. We work well with a lot of companies, with restaurants. Again, we have over 1,000 stores nationwide. We have a really good track record with a lot of companies that we can help attract those businesses into the area. I think that was a lot of the questions. Another thing that was brought up was the security in the area. We have a great security team. We're able to help the local police if anything is in need. They don't have to look at granulated footage. We have 4K security systems that cover our lots 360 degrees. We help the local police by allowing them to come back behind the register, watch the videotape, and then they can request that tape at a later point in time. That way they can get on with their investigation and do whatever they need to do. Again, we have fresh food, so we have a made-to-order kitchen. We also do grab-and-go items, your roller grills, your typical stuff. But one of the things that we put ourselves in is what we put into our food, our kitchen. We have state-of-the-art technology. Our service center is able to remotely log into most of our products and fix them, so we don't have a lot of downtime in our stores. So we're able to make sure that we're serving customers whenever they need it. So this is an updated design. Last time we were in here, we proposed 4 diesel pumps. Right now, we're proposing 2 diesel pumps that would cater to the truck traffic that's already existing on the roadway. It does look like 4 pumps, but on the outside are auto diesel pumps. Those are specific for auto diesel and not the tractor trailers. On here, we're also proposing a right-hand turn lane on Forum, and that would lead into a right-hand turn lane on Eureka, which we would have to get approval through county with. As we would go through this project, we make sure that we work with county on any improvements that they would need to see along Eureka Road. Again, one of the things that we understand is that this intersection is a gateway into Romulus, and we want to make sure that we provide a great opening into the city. And this is one of the signs that, this is the sign that we would like to propose, and we would be able to work along with some design as well as landscaping around it with staff and council. This is one of our building perspectives. Elevations. This is what our canopy looks like. It's our standard canopy. This is our diesel canopy. Canopy perspective. It's kind of hard to see, but our trash enclosure down there, it does match the brick buildings. It also has covered fence. It would be made out of a mesh material, but you wouldn't be able to see through it just for the safety of the employees, so it doesn't get caught by heavy wind and you're trying to fight a 300-pound door. This is what, these are renderings from what we expect our store to look like. We took away a lot of the landscaping that we would put there just so that the perspective comes through so that you guys can see what it would look like from the roadway. And this is from the intersection. This is an aerial view. Again, any improvements that are needed throughout the site as we work through with the county and city staff, making sure that we can provide whatever improvements are necessary to also include the improvements that would be needed with the C3 that would come in behind us. We would make sure that the intersection would be accountable for that as well. I also have with me Todd Shebor, our legal, and then we've got Andrew Bowen, our traffic engineer, who can answer any traffic questions, and then also for the seller, we have Pete Rogers. If there's any questions that I can answer about Quick Trip or the project, I'll answer them for you.
Do you guys have any questions, comments first? No? Go ahead.
Madam Chairman, I've lived here a lot of years, and for as long back as I can remember, citizens of Romulus have said, boy, we sure like to have a nice grocery store. What did we get? A toxic injection well. An airport sitting right in the middle of our community. Trains hauling hazardous waste that bisect our community. And with the airport draws trucking. The citizens of Romulus don't need a dozen gas stations on every corner. We're looking for developments that the citizens can value and use. I'm not degrading what you're proposing, but what I'm trying to say is the intent that was put into the Southern Gateway and why it was zoned the way it was to not have this intense kind of use put on those sites. That's why it was there. And now you're asking us to do something we never did before, which is give you a waiver to just forget that and put in what you want. That's where I have the issue, and I said the exact same thing the last time you were here. I'm not so wrapped up in the traffic like a lot of people, but I am wrapped up in our community. Nobody wants to really do something that'll excite the people that live here. They want to do something that'll make themselves some money. And I guess that's one area that we tried to take a little bit of control and zone it in a way that we could have some input as to what goes there.
Yes, sir. I understand. I have a kind of a follow-up question. If I understand that this is a gateway this is the gateway to Romulus, and that's the reason why you guys have the restrictions that you have in the area. But also south of us is all in zone industrial and warehousing. And as that fills out and develops, would there not be more traffic and more congestion that would be expected on Warm Road that we could prevent by being there, by doing the public improvements ahead of that development?
This is just me talking. I believe once you get gridlock, you'll see improvements anyway. The county will have to come in and do something. When that would happen, I don't know that. I don't know. What I also see, as soon as something like this were approved for you, your neighbor across the street will be back here next month wanting the same thing. And how could we deny him if we gave it to you? So I'm one of 9 up here. But that's my opinion.
Thank you.
My concern is, I'm not so concerned as the traffic on the road, but the congestion on the site itself. When you have truck stops and you have trucks coming like that, and then you have passenger vehicles coming in there, it's been my experience when I've stopped at a basically truck stop to get gas or whatever, it's chaos. You got to watch out, you got to be careful because the truck's coming this way because he's bigger than you and he has the right of way, so he says. And just from that standpoint, I have a problem with that, and they're not really, usually they're not very attractive looking. I don't care what you do to it. And my next question is, are you asking for special land use approval, site plan approval, or what?
So there's 2 things that we're kind of asking for at this point. So it'd be special land use, and then we'd also be asking for a waiver, because diesel in this zoning is up to the council to approve that waiver.
So you'd be recommending?
Actually, special land use approval, a total special land use approval is not possible tonight because you did not do your detailed site plan review.
Well, that's it. This is our site plan.
That's it. So it's not complete.
You know, that's kind of like,
right, the special land use.
This is how dedicated they are to come into our city.
Well, no. This is because of the way we set it up.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
They didn't
I
want to
apologize.
go to the extent of doing a full-blown proposal, such as like maybe what you saw last time when they were on with Maverick.
Right.
You saw the whole thing together. They needed that waiver. The diesel component of this is a critical part of it.
I see, okay.
And that's the part that's not allowed. So we haven't even done the analysis on the whole rest of it because we don't have that site plan to talk. I mean, we've seen renderings and we've seen some stuff, but tonight, in our understanding and why we did this with the lack of information, is that they were looking for direction on one thing, and that was if you were going to accept the diesel.
So one of the questions we had from you, sir, last time was if diesel is a necessary thing for us as a company to make this feasible. Again, I can't say that we won't build it without diesel, but corporate is saying that a diesel makes our numbers work for us to come here and be able to put the effort in order to come in, and a lot of the drainage issues that we have cost a lot of money because the site's so flat. We have to invest a lot into underground detention here, and because of that, diesel's going to have to be there for us in order to make that work. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be today, but if industrial or warehousing comes into the south, if it would make sense for us to come in at a later point in time and offer that, because the trucking needs are there already and those are growing, the need for a fuel there would also grow.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Again, that's would be later on down the line for how everybody seems to be going today.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the companies down Warman Road Don't they have their own fueling stations in there?
Some of them do. Some of them do. And the whole point of the Southern Gateway, Mr. McAnally, you started on it in some of that intent. It never was the intent for the commercial component of the Southern Gateway to service the trucks, the trucking component of the industrial down there. So for example, truck repair facilities and some of that stuff that's a little bit more commercial are not allowed there.
That was not it. We were driving to get restaurants, sit-down
Right,
restaurants,
right.
and things that would attract people and families.
The employees down there and also airport. There's a big thing was the airport, because Eureka Road was opening up. That hasn't been improved like that long, has it? And with the access, down that southern entrance into the airport.
It's not, well, it's been torn up once, but yes.
Yeah. It's not like it's brand new, but, back in the day, the only way in, you'd go in 94. Now, this opened up, hence the reason the Southern Gateway, but standards and everything got,
Well, and that was my point. I was here when we approved it, set it up, and I knew what we were looking for at that time.
yeah,
And
but
I'm
they-
not personally ready to
Right.
just waive that.
Right. And we spent a lot of time on that when we worked on the gateway. I mean, we spent months on deciding what we wanted on there, and trucking and fueling and diesel fueling was never a consideration. In fact, it was just the opposite. We didn't want those things. So with that in mind, in the same way I did last time, I'm not going to approve any diesel trucking in that area. As a matter of fact, the gas station that's down there now, when he got his gas station, we wouldn't give him diesel. So
Well, he couldn't have it as part of this same.
that's what I'm saying.
wasn't
He couldn't
correct.
get it as part of his deals. So, I mean, I just feel that we're opening a can of worms if we decide to do this. And I don't think we really want to do it. Because everything in our master plan and everything that we're getting from the other departments, the police department, everybody, is opposed to this. Mr. Long?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. When you were speaking of the revenues for QT, had they considered, with everything sort of leaning toward electric, had they considered charging stations back there in that area instead of diesel fuel?
So currently, we're testing electric chargers as a company. Again, diesel would be part of us being able to make our numbers. Right now, there's really not a way to make any kind of profit. Each company that puts in EVs is actually, right now, either breaking even or just below making money off of the charging stations. So as a company coming in, trying to make bottom line work already, putting EV chargers in just as a replacement for our diesel doesn't work for us, so as a bottom line.
Thank you.
Now, with that being said, we're not opposed to EV chargers as the technology progresses. We're able to get those in there whenever they go from like the stage 3 chargers. They advertise 20 minutes, they're actually 40.
Right.
Whenever those are actually 20 minutes or less than 40, that's something that we're already testing out and looking at. We're not opposed to that, including those in our locations.
Now, your property line, you kind of in a quadrant, with the location of that exit off of Warman Road going into, or not, is that Warman or is that Wayne? That's Wayne Road. For trucks to come out of there making that right, because I'm quite sure it would be just restricted to a right turn only.
Well, which road are we talking about? So there's one on Eureka and one on Warman.
The one on your Warman, that's the one I'm speaking on.
Okay, yes, so the trucks would come out of there. That's why we would be adding a dedicated right-hand turn lane. It opens up the space there so that if vehicles are needing to turn right, they're not waiting on the trucks to exit. They're able to go out and turn. Also, the trucks coming out of our site will be able to come back out and make that right-hand turn on Eureka if needed.
Would they be restricted on the left turn or no?
As coming out.
Coming
and
out, going
left
west
to the light.
to Warman?
That would be best addressed by Andrew, our traffic engineer.
Andrew Bowen. The access on Warman will have people turn left in and out. The driveway there is at a point where the road is just 2 lanes, and so, well, and then a center turn lane, and so there's plenty of space for them to get across, and it shouldn't, and it's not like traffic will be blocking them. We looked at the traffic from that intersection, from the signal, and it's not projected to reach to the driveway, so there won't be a time where people can turn left in or out. They'll be able to turn efficiently.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair. OHM recommended that we do not approve recommended that we do not approve the special land use. Any texture on that?
Correct. The special land use would need, excuse me, the main waiver they would need is to not meet the requirement to have a level of service C or better at the intersection. They are proposing, I believe it's level D. It's a...
D and E, aren't they?
Some of them are D, some of them are E. It depends on the motion and the which direction you're approaching from.
If I can interject, we also did improve quite a bit of that intersection with the proposed improvements. Andrew will speak on that.
I want to clarify a couple of things. First, that intersection, several movements operate at LOSD and E today. We're not looking to make, things aren't going to get worse or have a decreased level of service. They're going to be maintained. Part of that is just that the signal is set up so that the majority of that time, the green time is given to Eureka Road. That's how Wayne County wants it, because they want people going through those signals in a group, and so they don't give very much time to the side streets, and so people have to wait. This isn't meaning that there's big congestion, it's just meaning that people have to wait their turn until Eureka is done, then they can turn. And in fact, if we have some recommendations to the signal, including the right turn lane and some green time changes and just changing the pattern, that would actually bring everything down from a D to a D, which is better than it is today.
So are you going to have 18 passenger pump stations or 16?
There are 16 pump positions in the front. There
Okay.
are 2 positions that are on the back that will be diesel fueling for only automotive vehicles, like smaller, like a personal truck.
Okay, so you submitted the paperwork with 16 or 18?
We just needed to provide some clarification there. It was always, this submittal has always had the same number of pumps, but in the back it was unclear that those 2 pumps were not for use by commercial trucks, and so we've clarified that with OHM and in our most recent documents.
OHM, are you good with that?
We understand the numbers as they propose them, yes.
So it is, they propose 16 or 18? I just really want to get clarity.
So there are 16 fueling positions for passenger vehicles in the front of the site. In the back, adjacent to the 2 diesel specifically for trucking pumps, there are 2 additional fueling stations for diesel vehicles which are not tractor trailers. So something like an RV that would have a difficult time accessing the front.
Okay, so if I understand your report correctly, you're saying that the total number of pumps went from 20 to 18?
I believe it was 16 and 18 was the confusion. They have reduced I think one of the submittals was 18 and 4. And
Yeah,
it's-
because I see here, and I'm sorry, the TIS uses 18 passenger and 2 diesel for its calculations. And finally, the response letter from the previous review stated 16 passenger and 2 diesel fueling station pumps were proposed. So is it 18 plus 2 diesel or 16 plus 2 diesel? Because it seems like that is the bone of contention here.
There are 2 fueling stations for
Okay.
tractor trailer use
Okay.
in the diesel pumps. There are 2 additional for not truck use because they're such slow pumping.
Okay.
Sorry, because those pumps are very slow compared to what is used for a semi, and semis typically have a pump on either side to do double fuel, to fill it up even faster. So those are calculated differently than the trucks themselves.
Okay, so what you got, was it 16 passenger vehicle fueling positions with 2 high-flow diesel fueling positions and 2 standard diesel fueling positions? Did you get that? The
Yes.
paperwork with that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And based on that, you're recommending it shouldn't be approved?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
If I could, I'd like to ask a couple of clarifying questions. I'm Peter Raju, CBRE up in Southfield, Michigan here. I just want to be clear on a couple of things, and I've known many of you for a lot of years. All of our hair has gotten a little bit grayer after a number of these planning commission meetings over the years. Mr. McAnally, you made a really good point. Chairperson Freytag, you made an excellent point as well. A little bit are different here. I'm trying to understand this in part with what Quick Trip has. One mentioning, congestion, traffic, and so forth, and Freytag saying, I just don't want to have a diesel there because of the truck traffic here. Also heard the aspect of, ideally in this type of area, the gateway into the south side, could we have certain things that the community could take advantage of and so forth here. So a couple of things here that come to mind. It sounds like it's both. It's not necessarily one or the other, and there's probably different opinions for everyone here on the Planning Commission board. But my thought would be here, especially when you look at this part of the city, you can't ignore the aspect of what the zoning is and then where the community actually lives here. So I agree, in Romulus, it'd be nice to have additional restaurants and so forth, but I think it would make more sense within the village, the downtown area, or off possibly on the north side where you have the greater demographic of the actual population that lives here. On the south side, even as you go further south, is into Huron Township, you see more of that property being zoned. Obviously, you've seen down Huron Township, the Amazon facilities being built and Home Depot and so forth here. So my question is, it's not necessarily for an answer tonight, the question is, as construction and development continues to grow along Warman Road, which is something Carol and the Planning Commission would support with the right type of development and fitting within the planning code and so forth here, you're going to see that additional traffic build as opposed to what necessarily would support what would be on the south side of the community. And if I lived in the community here, I would think it would be more up on the northwest side than the north side here. So as that development grows, it makes sense that not everyone is going to fuel on-site. Many companies are going to fuel off-site. And if they don't have fueling on-site, they're going to search out where their contracts take them over in other parts of the city, which means they're going to drive across into other sections of the community, whether it's the mobile station up on one side, or it's the other automated fueling facility off of Goddard Road in Hildebrandt in that area, or other locations that you see here. So would it not make sense from this particular perspective and how I set this question up here for consideration, that if long-term growth is going to increase truck traffic, and eventually there's going to probably be the need for traffic improvements, widening the road. For example, you have a 120-foot easement, be able to expand that part of Warman Road. would it not be uncharacteristic that you expect this to be a type of service that would actually be beneficial for traffic flow as opposed to having trucks and trailers move to other parts of the community? I don't know what the answer is. I'm not the traffic expert here, but it's just something, the way I look at it from an industrial real estate broker, kind of visioning and questions that I get that comes into part of the services that we provide and so forth here. So I'll leave that question is, and if you want to discuss that here, I understand. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I guess we're at a crossroad where what is the petitioner, do you want us to throw it out to a vote and let it fly to the wind? You kind of see where we seem to be leaning. Do you want us to not
Yes.
do anything?
Yes, sir, I do see where everybody's leaning at this point. For us to take back, for me to be able to take back to corporate, I do need a vote. That way we can start working on the corporate side of things and try to figure out another way around it. See if we can figure anything out budget-wise or anything to make it work for us.
So it's either a motion to deny, postpone, or approve for this waiver.
But this is the waiver only to allow diesel on this site. That's for tractor trailers.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Mr. Kroger?
The applicant is requesting special land use waiver to allow a service station with diesel fueling. Because of that diesel fueling, I'd like to make a motion to deny the special land use waiver request for SLU 2023-012 Quick Trip Diesel Fueling because of the diesel fueling.
If I may, Madam Chairman?
Yes.
To add to your motion, per the recommendations of the city administrative staff and notes.
Well, we have the police department,
Yeah,
the OHM.
and I'll support his motion.
And the city ordinance.
Could you use the word findings instead of recommendation?
Findings.
Perhaps because there's a lot of stuff for the
Findings.
findings of, the administrative
Okay.
staff and consultants.
Madam Chair, it's quoted as the city ordinance, the city engineer consultant, and the fire chief.
They all deny.
All three, yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's
It
not.
was the police chief, I'm sorry.
Police chief, sorry about that, but yes.
And also another big condition in my thought is, it was allegedly denied to your neighbor and several years ago.
You know, we don't have verification of that. We don't
Right.
know that they actually came in and requested
Okay.
diesel.
We didn't approve
That is
of
why I
it.
use that word allegedly. He come up and said that. but,
Well, I think he kind of backed off, and then
Okay.
I think he did
Okay,
say
strike that.
more informally.
Okay, I'll
He used
strike
to-
that
He used
out.
to come in and ask all the time.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
So,
So, Mr. Kroger, you're making the motion, and who's seconding it? Mr. McAnally? Okay. Excuse me. I have a motion from Mr. Kroger, supported by Mr. McAnally, to deny approval of special land use, or the waiver, or
Waiver.
the waiver for diesel fueling on SLU 2023-012 Quick Trip Diesel Fueling. Do I need to add anything to that?
Well, basically, it's because of the information that we received about.
The findings.
The
findings.
findings.
Right, the findings, right,
yeah,
the findings.
they're based on the findings.
Right, based on the findings that were received by the various departments. Any discussion? Mr. Kroger?
Yes?
Mr. McAnally?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
No.
Mr. Gladfeldy?
Yes.
Mr. Bombade?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Jameson?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The item is denied.
Thank you all for your time.
Sure, thank you. All righty, next up, we have,
Good evening. My name is Peter Zilos. I'm the project architect for the global trucking repair facility that's on the agenda tonight. Also here tonight is the landscape architect and the owner for the questions regarding the
I
facility.
need to open that up first before we can talk about it. This is SPR 2022001, Global Truck Repair, requesting construction of an 8,743 square foot industrial building for a truck repair facility. Now, over to you, sir.
Hi, my name is Peter Zilos. I'm the project architect for the global trucking repair facility that's on the agenda tonight. The landscape architect, Mr. Eric Olson, is here also, since landscaping is a major issue, and the owner as well is here to answer any questions regarding the operation. I'm glad to start the presentation, and we'll proceed through.
Is it not changing for you? Oh, it's here, okay.
This is the title of the project. This is the site location map on Ecorse Road between Inkster and Middlebelt. Some of you may be familiar with the site. It was 5 years ago in 2019 that we came to the Planning Commission for rezoning this property into MT. And I have some of those slides, similar slides that we used then to show, to begin to show the original intent of the project. This is an aerial photograph of the area, and you can see the property is sort of highlighted in blue. And then to the west of it is the diminished storage. To the east of it, there's a residential area to the east of it. This is the overall area. The magenta color is the actual property there, and shows it into the, I believe that's the zoning. Let me refer to my slides here. That was the current zoning at the time we rezoned it. The magenta color was the lot, and we sought to rezone, and we were successful rezoning that into MT at the time. This is the overall area of the city zoning future land use map, and you can see where that orange is, that magenta color is. Again, that's within an area that is proposed to be or industrial area in the future. And this is a close-up of that, so that's where our property is, and the dark area is all the heavy industrial area. Even the residential to the east, you see it no longer shown there in the future. Land use map is shown as all industrial. This is the, at the time we sought the rezoning, this was prepared as a conceptual plan of what was to come. And you can see the building is sort of, the dark area is the building in the front. And at the time, the building was designed with through doors. Trucks would enter one end and come out the other. But since then, you see that idea has changed to avoid having trucks driving towards the residential area, which would be to the bottom, which is the east. But generally, you can see the landscaped area, and the light blue color would be like the stormwater management that we would, knew that we had to accommodate for the county requirements. This is the current site plan, and you can see that it hasn't changed very much other than the location of the building. As I said, the building now only has doors facing west, avoiding any exposure to the south, to the east, which would be down to the bottom of the drawing where it be facing the residential area. And you can see the heavy landscaping around the sides of the building and in the front. At the middle of the property, you see that extra green area. There's a very small drain that crosses the property, which we weren't even aware at the time. Well, as a result of that drain, we had, the county reviewed it. It's taken quite a while to review it. We also had to go to the Michigan Eagle for review of that drain and design. So that's why that area was, instead of being parking, it was is being landscaped as part of the drain area there. Even though that drain, when it crosses to the west or to the east, you can't see it anywhere. here we dedicate all that area to account for the environmental issues. Other than that, other than the paved area has shrunk, this here is pretty much, the only difference is, like I said, we shrunk the pavement to accommodate state requirements and Wayne County requirements. We do have approval from Wayne County, we have approval from the state of Michigan legal as well. So the only changes you see, the building got moved, not moved, it moved, so we no longer have a drive-through. The building, the doors are only facing west, so we don't have any exposure to the residential area. And here's the site plan. Here's a floor plan of the building. You know, the sort of pink area is the front, the office area of the project, and the area to the back is the green. Unfortunately, there are two greens there. Hopefully, you can delineate. The light green is the building shop area. There are 4 bays in the shop, and the perimeter green area is just grass, you know, landscaped area just to set the building up. This is the site lighting plan, you know, that we have to satisfy requirements as far as site lighting. Here are the building elevations. Starting at the top left is the north elevation, which is not exposed anywhere. No one can see that unless you drive to the back of the site. And then to the top right, that's the elevation of the building facing Wayne Road, Ecorse Road. This is what you see from Ecorse Road. In the middle of the road, the middle of the building, that's the west elevation. You see the 4 doors of the shop area, and the right end of that is the entrance to the office building, which is facing west. And then, of course, the bottom of the bottom drawing is the elevation on the east side, which would be along the residential area. These are materials, you can see the boards that we've got here. It's sea brick, it's a architectural concrete product mostly. So I have, you see the red boxes on some of these boards. The one next to the left, extreme left of it, is a decorative accent border that runs along the building. The one in the middle there with the red box around it, I'll make sure the finishes are on the drawing, but I want to make sure that I read it correct. On the extreme left, the red box, that's the field brick. That's most of the field brick that you see. Most of the office is mostly brick. That sea brick, that's on the extreme left of the board. The one at the middle top left is the horizontal band. The light is the horizontal exit band that runs along the building, and the one on the right, the box on the right, is the base of the building along the bottom of the building, so many feet up. I think it's 3 foot 4 inches at the front section, and it gets higher as you go to the back. So, and these are the materials that you see here. Here's the base of the building, this is the color here. Here's the exit band. Here's the sea brick field, and this color here actually. There will be a variety of contrast on all these. This is the size of the brick, and this is the variety. Yeah, I think I don't know if you guys see it.
Just set it on the table for a second.
Yeah, just sit it there for a second.
Now, if you could point them out again, the ones you're using. Top left, here.
This is the base of the building, the lower area of the building, the front, up to the bottom of the window. This is the field brick. This is most of the brick area. And this is the exit band that runs along, there's a decorative band around the building. I can put back the elevations, you can see the breakdown. It's breaking down the height of the building.
So the majority of the building is going to be in that one right there. Yeah, that one.
This is the brick. This is going to be along that. That is a board with this particular color showing the variance in here. It's not monotonous, you know, it's natural material, so the color variance, as you see there.
Right.
So it's more like a residential type setting.
Very nice.
Nice looking.
If I flip back, you can see the horizontal bands mostly at the office. They run all the way through, even to the back section of the building, which is the block. You have that exit band that runs across the whole size of the building for uniformity. This is, there's metal roofing and metal siding in the top section, limited area of the building. And this is not the color we're using, this is just the material. I will point out the colors. Again, this is the siding. Here are the colors. You can see the two boxes. The siding is the top box, the roofing is the bottom box. I have actual cards of that, so you can actually see the colors. You guys can take a part of it. These are the same boards, except in this end. If anybody's interested, I have actual sand and those, chips of the actual.
So these are the colors you have to choose from.
Yeah, you can see the ones we picked there. On the left slide is the top to right, and this third one down from the slide that has more.
What is Surrey beige? What is one more?
Anybody interested in basically what the material looks like?
And this is the roofing, right?
Yeah.
Let's see these. That's fine. You want to see them?
This is a fencing detail. What we're proposing, instead of masonry wall on the boundary between the residential area and this property, I spent 2 Sundays talking to the neighbors. There are 15 homes that abut this property. 2 of those properties have been acquired by Wayne County Land Bank. So there are 13 properties remaining private properties. From the 13 properties, some of them are rented, so I was able to speak to 7 of the 13 people. 5 of the 13 people indicated that, I explained, I met there, I delivered packages to every home, and here's what was delivered to each resident. Engagement. Out of the people that I spoke to, first of all, some people that were not there, so I left a package, an envelope with all the information at their house. So I spoke with 7 of those individuals the first time that I went there. There wasn't anybody that objected to the project. In fact, most of them made very positive comments. So I asked whether they would be able to give me a letter or call the city, make some, indication of support. And there's 5 people said they would. Out of the 5 people that did, 3 of them gave me actual letters.
Right, we have them in our report. We have 3 letters in our report, right. Do we need to read them into the record?
So I want you to see basically what I described and what the reaction was. And as far as I know, there wasn't anybody that objected to me, and as far as I know, no one wrote any negative comments into the city regarding that.
Do we need to read those into the record or no?
You can probably, the address on there, reference the letter in the packet and then the address.
From this address.
From the person in that address, yeah.
So just reference that he has 3 letters of approval.
From,
There's no address they give,
Or at the bottom where they sign.
The letter's actually here.
they give us phone number and they give us an email address.
Yeah, it's at the bottom.
Oh, if I could read it again, please. They are, no, I got it. I just, if I could read. They're all on Birchdale, 6792, 6828, and 6770. Birchdale, all day, recommendations.
Two of the individuals that were very supportive will be the two homes that there are. Unfortunately, didn't get letters, but let me go back to the site plan. Okay. The gentleman that owns this property, he was here at the...
You know, Peter, you gotta talk into that microphone because it's not gonna get picked up.
The owner of that
Thank you.
property, which is the longest one, it pretty much abuts half our property to the back. He was at the rezoning, supporting the rezoning. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2001. His daughter now owns the home, and she indicated that she'd have no problems with. I sent her a letter. I have not gotten back yet. I don't know if I don't think he received it here either. Right next to her, to the east of that, the second home, another young lady that lives there. She indicated that she would give me the letter. I didn't get one yet, so I mean, move
Well, that's
forward.
great. We have the 3 letters, and that's sufficient right now.
Here's, like I said, the fencing. What we're proposing is to create a screen with landscaping and the fencing, vinyl fencing. And this is the detail of it. There's the description of it. It's a reinforced, it's vinyl fence with reinforced steel. And here the color is available. You see the top colors? The one in the circle is what we're proposing is like a beige color. We're open to any color. One of the questions in the review notes was that it was recommended to place the fence behind the property line and put the landscaping, screen on outside our property. Two of the owners that I talked to said absolutely not. They want to see the fence. They don't want to see any more landscaping. We're full of landscaping here. They want to see the fence. So it's up to you if you consider approving the request for the vinyl fence and the landscaping. It's up to you as to where the fence will be placed. We prefer to place the fence on the property line, as the homeowners as well, and then any landscaping screen will be behind on the property, because you have to maintain it. You've got to, plants die, you got to replace it, you got to prune it, you got to, take care of it. And you can't go around and.
You don't want to go on somebody else's property.
Properties, to do that, it's not going to last long to do that. And, before you know it, everything will be dead on that side. So, I think that's all I have here. I'm glad to answer any questions. As I said, the owners are here, the landscape architect is here. We are requesting a waiver on the landscaping. I mean, one of the things that you should realize as part of the Wayne County review and approval, we have to deal with stormwater management. And here's what stormwater management did. We have a bioswale. You see the light blue in the green. You see light blue at 4 different locations along the north, the west, and the south, the east property line. That's where the stormwater management is. You can't plant trees in that. So we have trees. We can see around the building here, densely planted. We have landscaping along the east boundary all to the back to screen the residential areas. The landscape architect is here, and he can explain better. We spend a lot of time on this issue on landscaping. So we're seeking a waiver, to provide what we're showing here, and he has the reasoning for that. We're glad to answer any questions you may have.
First of all, I'd like to commend you because we are always asking for examples of what this building is going to look like, to bring us samples, and nobody ever brings us any.
Well, the owner said, I want to know what my building looks like, before I spend all that money, so.
We appreciate
That's
that.
what we get paid for, so.
We appreciate that. It's kind of, Anyhow, with that, are there any questions or comments from the commissioners? Any comments from
I just have one
Jeff?
comment.
Jeff or
Celeste.
I have one
Oh, I'm
comment.
sorry. Go ahead,
I
Celeste.
I would just like to say thank you for already reaching out to the residents before it's an issue.
We thought that was important,
Yep.
because, if it was our house there, what are you going to do? I mean, it's important to engage with them. If they have a concern, you try to work with it. That's why I went there. What more would you like? This is what we're doing here. And I was shocked, because I expected, when we had the hearing for the rezoning, one gentleman came in support, but there's another gentleman, he was very, very aggressively against it. We're tired of the trucks, tired of the trucks. This time around, he didn't have any issues with it. So we're glad that things worked out that way.
Madam Chair, one comment I made for clarification.
Go ahead, right ahead.
Was that part of the proposal, was to put the fence on the boundary line and then put landscaping on the other people's property, or is that as stated?
That is what is currently shown on the plans. However, zoning ordinance requires the fencing to be on the property side and plantings to be on the outside, facing the residents.
So our ordinance requires the plantings to be on the resident's side,
Correct.
even though there's a fence there.
Yes.
How does that work? I don't know. I mean, the fence has to be on the property line. How do you put landscaping, unless you put it in the other homeowner's property?
Well, actually, you don't put it right on your property line.
So you move the fence inward.
Move the fence inward.
Talk to the microphone, please.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, but I did not find anywhere in the ordinance where it states that you put the landscaping on the residential side in the fence.
I don't know the exact section number, but it is 13.02, and there are at least 2 diagrams that show a fence towards the industrial building and plantings towards the residents.
Now, are those diagrams considered overriding what the rest of the section of the ordinance says?
I don't have the ordinance in front of me at this moment.
What's the question? What's the question?
13.02.
Yep.
Regarding the, it makes sense. Diagram that shows the fence.
You know what, yeah, there is a fence that shows that, but I think in the past, you guys, I know, sorry, the summary did not get put in the packet. You guys have dealt with that on a case-by-case basis as to where it goes based on what's the, it's there as a picture, but as we know, this section is subject to a lot of flexibility, so.
Well, if I was going to butt up to a business like this and you're putting up a privacy fence, I would want to know, I want to be able to put my rose bush in there. I don't want anybody dictating what I have to look at the rest of my life. So I'd rather have that on their side, let them worry about it.
So we basically then could issue a waiver that you can put the wall on property line and then the landscaping on his property, correct?
Would it be a waiver?
It's a waiver. I mean, everything that he's doing is a waiver to the wall. Okay, it's the wall, the berm, and the plantings, right, is what your ordinance says. And I don't think there's a time that you haven't granted a waiver because we rarely do the wall. So in lieu of the wall, they're proposing a fence with these plantings. And so the design, if this has been reviewed, and you find whatever you find with it, and based on conversations with the neighbors.
Well, reading the summary letter, item A, to allow 6-foot-high solid vinyl decorative fence and evergreen plantings rather than the required 6-foot-high wall and 4-foot-high landscape berm.
Right. That's
So we're
from the
going to allow
current
that.
letter, right.
Now, the only thing we have to define further, if we have to do it at all, is which side of the fence the
It goes
evergreens
on,
are on.
right.
So we could say planting on the occupant's
On the property
petitioner
owner's
side.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, you can say, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the. Okay, so the issue here is where this fence goes.
And where the plantings go.
and where the plantings go.
More so where the plantings go, because
Where, how do you guys want them? How do you,
I want the fence to be bare on the residence side,
right.
and then the plantings to be on the petitioner side.
on the inside? So you want the
That's what the
plants,
residents
Wants a fence on the property line.
fence on the property line. I think that's the easiest way to describe
The
it.
fence on the property
Which
line?
is typical, basically, the fence is on the property line, you know where the property is, and obviously you can't put plantings on the other man's property, he's gonna object to it. I mean, they already did, two people told me, no, we don't want concrete, we're gonna and I showed them the fence.
But the interpretation was, yeah, you could be screwed up in it, but it really was move your fence in, put
Yeah,
the
your fence
plantings
would
on.
come in, not be right on your property line. So your fence would come in, and then plantings would be.
The plantings would be on our property, and that's what we're showing. The fence is on the property line, and the plantings are on our side.
And that's what we're trying
So
to
the
do.
neighbors don't have to
Right,
deal with
okay.
it,
Okay.
because they have to be maintained. I mean, this is a long property. There's a lot of landscaping there, so it has to be maintained. You got, 14, 15 people, you're asking them to maintain your landscaping, it's just,
Who knows, people on the property might come in and tear it out because they don't like what you have. Okay.
Well, Madam Chair, it does show that on the proposed site plan, that the plantings are inside of that fence line.
You said it does show?
Yes.
That's how they drew it.
Yeah, that's how they drew it, right.
That's how the package that they gave to the residents, that's how it's drawn as well.
So the ones he gave the residents showed
It does.
showed the wall and then the plantings on your side of the property?
I'm sorry, again,
On this,
Mhm.
right here. It shows it right here.
I'm getting confused.
Yeah, we were clarifying that your drawings that you gave to the residents, the packages, it shows that the plantings are on the inside of your property and that the fence, we just wanted to make sure that the residents saw it.
the neighbors saw the fence being on their property line, so they can see the fence, and I showed them.
Right.
Fence, this is great, this is what we like, we're tired of looking at what's there. Right now, there's a cyclone fence there.
Well, they want a privacy fence, yeah.
So when I showed them this, well, yeah, that's exactly what we like, so, and the landscape would be behind their fence. Of course, the landscape is gonna grow up and they'll see it, but nevertheless, they have a nice clean look at their property.
Thank you.
This is residential, I get why you would want it.
Madam Chair, can I just ask one question? I just wanted to ask a question about the operation of the business. Is this going to be, is this like owner-operated for the owner's business?
The owner can speak. My understanding is basically, the owner, they have a limited number of trucks, around 10 trucks. Right now, they have to pay somewhere to put their trucks, a monthly or yearly fee. Well, they want to start this business where they can put their trucks, and then they will rent space out to anyone else who wants to park a truck or a trailer there. The building services their vehicles, but if some other owner has a truck there that wants to service, get oil change the oil, they will be able to do that at that site. So the trucks are stored there, my understanding is anywhere from 1 day to 1 month, trucks or trailers. So drivers, they buy a monthly or a yearly, agreement, and they can, whenever they need to store their truck, they drive their truck there and store it. So they would have no control. I mean, basically, they rent, other than their own trucks, they rent the spaces out to different business truck users.
And is this like so with the owner's business, is there like a dispatch too, where you're like operating your
I'll have them come up
trucks?
here, and so that way you'll get right to the source of the mouth.
Yes, with the 10 trucks, we do have a dispatch service, and we allow for the public to also pretty much rent out the other spaces. And as Peter did say, it is like the average for the most part, they'll be parking for anywhere from like a day to a month, even longer, if possible.
Yeah. So there'll be users that have a truck that, let's say they're driving for another company, but they'll
Right.
lease a space for you, they'll come park there.
Pretty much, yeah.
Coming in and out.
Yeah.
But there will not be multiple dispatch companies in the building?
No.
Okay. How many spaces was it total on the site? How many truck spaces do you have?
Over 70.
70?
Over 70.
Okay.
Can you put your name on the record, please?
My name is Karal Rahama, and I'm the owner of Global.
Thank you. So you have 70 sites. So basically, you have roughly 55 or 60 sites that you could actually rent out to other people to put their trucks there?
Correct.
And I only ask just because I know there's, in that area, east of you and north of you, there's multiple trucking outfits that some are neat and, you know what I mean, organized, and others we battle with to try to stay that way. So I'm just trying to get a clarity of what exactly you guys got going on for your
Yeah,
operation.
we're trying to keep it as clean as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go back to that area photograph, the area around that, to the north and even to the east beyond the homes, it's like, total mess. Yeah, this area was cut off, but the area to the north, I mean, there just looks like there are abandoned trailers everywhere. And to the east, beyond, the south of, you can see them of the residential street that would be to the right. Again, there's just all over, store, park, it's not organized, there's no pavement, there's no lighting, there's no landscaping, there's nothing. Here, based on state, county requirements, forget the city, county requirements of the state, there's a fortune being spent to improve this property. I mean, a real fortune. Just the water mains alone, the number of hydrants and so forth. And not only that little drain that I mentioned to you that crosses the property, the county wants this owner, because they don't have the money, to start at his property and go to the west until you run into there's a little stream called the river there, I forget, it's the Equus River.
Oh, yeah.
They expect him to clean, because there's not much of a drain, so the water doesn't flow. They expect the owner to go in and clean all that out. Another big issue was that took several months to resolve. On Equus Road, on the north side of Equus Road, there's a ditch. Unfortunately, the owner to the west, which is the storage there, the city has no record of having a permit for the driveway. The county has no record of it. They don't have a culvert underneath the driveway. So we have to not only go either replace the driveway or dig a, tunnel underneath it, but extend far enough to reach a grade where the water will flow. Going to the east, you can't do that because the residential area is in the back. So we're landlocked in there, and so this owner has to spend a ton of money to fix problems to the east and to the west that has nothing to do with, and including the drain that runs to the west.
Gotcha. And I mean, improvement is needed in this area. I know we've been working quite a bit, my department, in this area, in this section, and we just trying to get things organized and orderly.
There was one particular neighbor. She lives, I believe maybe the last home to the north. And she was just so excited about what's coming in. She says, I'm sick and tired. I've been here so many years. I'm sick and tired of what I'm looking at. Please, please, please do something about it.
I have a question for you regarding the other, you're going to let other trucks come and park, okay?
Correct, yeah.
Now, will they have contracts, or, how do you regulate how?
So for the most part, like, generally speaking, people will probably rent out like more than one spot and pay per month a specific fee. The general fee is whatever the market,
Right, exactly. So in other words, this company might say, well, I've got 10 vehicles and I need to park them somewhere, so I'm going to go rent 10 spaces from you for 3 months or whatever. So my vehicles, so I have my vehicles parked there.
Yep.
Okay. Now, is that considered a separate business?
I'm sorry, say it again. I'm still working on your motion for you.
Oh, is that considered a separate business, that he's going to lease spaces to other
No,
trucking
that's
companies?
pretty typical of trucking companies. And
Okay,
in the
that's fine.
MT district.
I just want to make sure we do
That's
it right.
what, no, yeah, we see so much in the M1 district, which are these smaller trucking companies, but this is the MT, so this is where this is allowed.
Right.
Some of the question about this property's come up is because we've gotten calls about it because it's for sale. So that's what's been generating conversation around, well, just because we're getting phone calls on it. So, well, what's on the planning commission agenda tonight, you can watch and see if they tell us.
Now, he is not allowed any outside storage other than his vehicles, correct?
This zoning district does not limit the amount of outdoor storage. It's got to be within the areas depicted on the plan. I think they've got the standard notes on there. They can't store in the parking spaces or, anything like that, or in the fire lanes. So it's as depicted on the site plan.
The only thing it goes on to say, wrecked or damaged vehicles are not to be repaired, shall not be stored on the site.
Right.
Okay, so you're leasing to these people 10 spaces to park their vehicles. Okay, so what happens if one of them gets in an accident and they come to park their trash?
Could you please repeat that?
Sure. Okay, you lease these spots to a trucking company. Okay, one of their trucks gets in an accident or has a blown motor or whatever, and they haul it over to your place to store it there on one of their leased spots.
Right.
Okay?
You cannot store vehicles unless they're workable. There are notes on the plan.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. So how will you police that? You'll keep track of it?
Right, I mean, obviously, there are restrictions on what you store. You cannot store merchandise or trucks that are not in a workable condition. Any service work has to be done inside the building strictly, so there's nothing being stored in the lot unless it's workable, with license plates on and so forth. If it's damaged, then they don't do body damage over there, so it's not gonna be hauled over there. The only thing they do is service, motor oil, brakes, mufflers, that type of thing.
Anything that is in a state of disrepair, broken, and then if it's there for a period of time, and if it's greater than 200 square feet, it becomes junk, and the site then is deemed.
What's what I'm saying, but if it's sitting on his
And
spot,
that's
they figured they're just gonna leave it there,
So,
the company.
nope, can't.
So
So,
he just
fire
has to haul it
department
out?
picks up that when they're over there on, how often do they do fire safety inspections? It's not yearly. but
It's usually
Is it
yearly.
yearly? I know
But
they
ordinance
do,
also,
yeah.
ordinance does a lot more often, site visits around the city than that.
So basically, it would be, someone would catch it at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. We wouldn't allow any vehicles parked in those parking spaces that aren't operable.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Just a question to the
sorry,
chair.
go ahead.
So if you're renting out 70 spots, how are those truck drivers coming and going? And where are they leaving their personal vehicle?
I mean, for the most part, people don't leave their personal vehicles on any of these sites. I mean, just same with us, we're currently renting out a space. Most of our drivers do not leave their cars there. They get dropped off. This is pretty much considered a home base. So most of these people have families who will drop them off. Some people will even Uber to our yard, like if they feel the need to. If they don't feel like to inconvenience their family to come pick them up or drop them off. But for the most part, most people don't leave their vehicles on site.
Right.
I just thought I'd ask that question.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I was wondering about that. Any other
Madam
questions or
Madam Chair?
comments? Yes, I'm sorry.
I have two minor details. One, it says you have to have a designated snow storage space. Has that been done?
Yeah, that's actually on the plans, the area with designated storage space for snow.
And two, are your taxes now currently paid?
I'm sorry, that second one?
It said the taxes for winter were delinquent. Are they currently paid?
Property tax?
Yep.
I mean, they have to be paid. I don't know if they are, but obviously, before we get a permit, they have to be paid. There are a lot more than that to be paid before we get a permit. So that's... And this is site plan approval. We're not at the building permit stage as well, so there's another phase that's coming after this, obviously.
Understood, but it's in our paperwork, so
Yeah,
I wanted to make
I
sure
understand.
that...
That would
Yep.
absolutely, that would be paid. That's one of the requirements.
Well, that's great. It's part of our approval process, to make sure that you're going to pay them, that they're paid, whatever. Any other questions or comments? I think a motion is order, but I'm not sure.
Madam Chairman, I will, no.
In terms of the motion, which I've gotten there for you with regard to the waivers, you want to look at the OHM letter, which I think I put it in the memo on page 1 and 2, that talks about the variances and the waivers. The lighting, which is number 2, is an actual variance, that's Board of Appeals. So that was, I think, number 2 in this little
Yep, I
memo
see
thing
that.
I gave you. And then on the first waiver to 13.02, Lindsay can talk about it better, but in number 1, it seems that A and D should probably be removed. You're not gonna make them move the fence, and you're not gonna make them get letters of support from the other property owners. So those are A and D.
Not under your summary.
Nope, on the OHM letter.
Right.
Look at page 2
Up on
on
the
the,
top.
at the top of page 2 on the OHM letter.
The OHM letter is good.
That's it.
I'd like to remove all the conditions, just go one by one. I mean, there's some things in there that just, you know, I mean, they don't
So,
make
for
sense.
example, you want taken out, we support the use of a privacy fence in lieu of a wall?
I'm assuming that the wall, I didn't hear any
That's what-
resolution,
that's- they
but
have-
we're asking for the vinyl fence to replace the wall.
Exactly, so that's what she's saying. They're supporting these waivers to the wall, that the use of a privacy fence is okay. So then the other one that.
The landscaping waiver that was.
Well, we're not there yet, we're on the first one. Evergreen planting shall be provided in a variety of height, species, and spacing rather than a consistent monotonous row of one species. So.
We're keeping that.
You're gonna keep that?
Yeah.
I think that, excuse me, I think that we are meeting the requirements of the ordinance as far as the plant materials that we have in there. We've got probably about 5 different types of evergreens that we're using.
So do you wanna,
I'm
Lindsay can explain her comments?
The point of concern is the row of arborvitae. I believe it's over 275 linear feet, and the spacing of them is not adequate to actually provide screening. They're spaced one on every 10 feet.
Right.
And typically an 8-foot arborvitae, when planted, would be about 3, maybe 4 feet wide, and that would still leave quite a bit of space in between.
But these arborvitaes do grow relatively quickly, and if you get them too close.
I spoke to our landscape architect, and he suggested that a minimum 5 or maximum of 5 feet spacing would be adequate, especially if they were shifted back and not on one line.
But that is going to be difficult because we have very little space between the edge of the detention basin.
It is my understanding Wayne County doesn't actually prohibit any plantings within the storm basin.
You have to realize, there's been a lot of effort in every aspect of this project. It's been lingering for almost 4 years. Landscaping has probably been one of the most worked on, and one of the worst things is if people plant trees close to their house before they realize that the trees engage with the house. All these plants will grow. You know, they're not going to stay the same. 5 years from now, there's going to be 3-4 times the size that is what you planted. So it's a matter of overdoing this landscaping. The homes that are on the side, the lots there are 340 feet deep, the residential lots. So the house is 300 feet away from the private line as well. There is a fence, there's landscaping behind the fence. You know, we don't want to create a jungle there as well. That's not the intent. The intent is to screen landscaping, to beautify it, not to create a jungle. So I'm taken aback with a lot of the landscaping comments and some of those things.
Can you pull up the
myself.
landscaping plan? Can you pop it up, put the landscaping plan on the screen so the commission can see it?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
To the petitioners, which one of you are an arborist by profession?
I am a certified arborist.
Okay.
And a landscape architect.
So we have ordinances, and they've been in place for a very long time. We trust our city engineer, and we've never really had too much of a problem lately, especially with overcrowding. And we have an idea what it looks like when they're spread, especially with arborvitaes, because we know they come in different shapes and sizes, and not all of them spread 3 and 4 times their width. Some of them are very straight up and down. So we do follow the recommendations of our professionals in our city, just to let you know. So it's not necessarily an argumentative point for us. as much as it is trusting our professionals in our city. So just thought I'd add that for you.
Right.
If I might add to that, this is a bad time to have a debate. You know, it's this, we can just say, okay, let's postpone this, if this is going to get into a battle. We've got to come to some consensus so we can move on.
So we're going to keep in C, under the waiver.
Okay,
That's what Lindsay's talking about with the mixing.
is that going to go under your summary, though?
It's basically on that summary.
Yes.
It says.
I see it.
To grant the waiver subject to the OHM, I want to make sure that, that you're hitting all the ones that you're agreeing to and not on the OHM report. So it's going to match up to this thing. Does that make sense? So it's a waiver to section 13.02 landscaping requirements to allow a 6-foot high, or to waive the 6-foot high wall in lieu of a privacy fence, and to, with 8-foot evergreens along the eastern property line, subject to the evergreen plantings be provided in a variety of height, species, and spacing rather than a consistent monotonous row of one species. So that's the first waiver. That's the buffer in between and the wall. You get a fence, and we're getting rid of number 1 that talks about reversing it.
Right.
Per what's on the plan.
We're keeping
Or
number
didn't.
2.
So what on the plan is going for location of the wall or the fence, but the evergreens are gonna be this variety of height and species and spacing, as you just mentioned, a maximum of 5 feet?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be the first landscape waiver. The second one is the decrease in the number of plant material compared to what's required.
Right, because what they're saying here, and it's quite a difference, in lieu of 64 required canopy trees, the applicant proposes 9. In lieu of 127 evergreen trees, the applicant proposes 69. And in lieu of 253 shrubs, the applicant proposes 0.
Where are you getting that on?
Oh, yes, right here. Right underneath.
Oh, yeah, I see.
I mean, that's just quite a big difference from what is in there and what they're proposing.
You want Lindsay to explain?
Pardon me?
So that's.
It is my understanding it is being cut down because of the location of the bioswale.
Oh, okay.
I did make a suggestion to the applicant to add a little bit additional more screening, especially surrounding that drain. It's on the last page of my letter. Just involves removing 1 parking space and adding some more trees in that
Right,
location.
you indicated that about removing the southernmost, I think.
Right. There's a diagram in the letter too.
Yeah. Spot south of the drain on the east side of the lot, and using that space as an additional location for screening. The diagram is attached, okay. So basically, anything that he would normally put around the bioswale, he can't because of the bioswale.
There are no requirements from Wayne County that prohibit you from planting that close to the bioswale.
Okay.
Honestly, this is a mess.
Well, it's just it's differing opinions, and you guys get to decide. So, Lindsay's got a suggestion here.
If we were to go ahead and approve this, put in there though, when it is, after it's done, we give the administrative, with the ARC or whatever, for the administration, to go in, require extra trees or whatever if it's needed.
On this one, however, these trees are kind of an it's in this buffer zone. Yeah, you could do that. I take that back. You could do that. We've got the first one that's dealing with the wall, and we've got the evergreens, and then this other one is the additional amount that's required. Lindsay, what do you think?
That is an option.
I'm sorry?
That's an option.
That is an option.
Oh, I thought you said.
I don't know if we can parse this all out tonight, you know what I'm saying? We got the wall dealt with, we got the evergreens dealt with, now it's this other stuff that could go 15 different ways.
Well, or they could agree to it. They could agree to OHM's suggestion, and, here it is, there it is written up, and you're done. You make a motion to grant these waivers.
So what do you hate about her suggestion on this? Just, you're on to it.
I'm a little confused about,
Well, you see the additionals, this,
here's what you have. We had, in our conceptual plan, we had nothing. The width of that space.
You ain't got a lot of space to work
The width of the space, basically, what's
Peter, I apologize, you're not going to get picked up on the record, and our recording secretary has to hear it through there. None of this will get picked up, and I think this explanation.
Basically, what you're asking is to widen that lower green area where the drain is by one more space. The width of that, right now, of that green area is, I mean, look at the plans and see how wide it is, it's very significant.
The one space? How wide is that space?
Right, the green area, the width at the bottom there.
No, the one space that she's asking you to remove.
One space.
It's
One space is
one
15
space.
feet, so you can
One
see
space is 50 feet wide?
15.
Oh,
15 feet. So the
it's
green
15.
area there, interpolation, it would be like probably 60, 75, 80 feet wide. I can look up at the dimension. Let me look up the dimension and let you know what the width currently is shown there.
Oh, you come up here on the table.
So what happens to it being too wide?
Come up here on this table.
It's 110 feet wide. That green area exceeds 100.
Peter, I'm so sorry, but you've got to
You gotta
talk
use
into
the
that.
microphone.
All of this is nothing if it doesn't
Unless they
get
read
picked
lips, they
up.
don't know what you're saying.
So the green area at the bottom of the drawing, you see the width of it is 110 feet wide right now, the way it is.
Okay. So this would be an
Where we
additional
expect to
15.
have nothing there, it's 110 feet wide. So you're asking to make that another 15 feet, 125 feet wide. And I just, what purpose would it serve is the question.
My concern is for the residents to the south. Because the drain is there, you cannot place there's no screening in that location. So there's quite a wide view path on either side of your evergreen trees and fence. And by removing that and planting additional trees in that area, you could help screen for those residents.
There's no screening at the drain. This drain is basically, we're talking about something like this, 5 feet wide or less in 125, in 110 feet.
So your drawing shows about maybe 30 feet wide, the entire width of the easement, because you're not allowed to put fencing in the easement, correct?
I'm not sure whether you can fencing or not. I believe you can put fencing in as long as there's room for maintenance of the drain.
Okay, your plans do not show fencing or any sort of landscaping in that area. So
Yeah,
my concern was just adding additional screening for those residents.
Okay, so right at the drain, you cannot put a fence. I mean, you're the decision makers, you decide what you want to do. I'm just presenting our position here, and you decide what to do. I'm just saying that there is 110 feet of green area along the drain. If you want to make that wider, I mean, that's your prerogative to request that side.
and I go back to what Ms. Jimison said earlier, we trust our consultants. We've worked with them consistently for all these years, and I just want to keep as per their recommendation. So I'm going to move to recommend, or to approve SPR 2022-001, global truck repair. Now that's where it gets tricky. Subject to the decorative fencing and the plantings, as discussed earlier, and subject to the consultant's recommendation for additional landscaping as per her letter. And
Can we rephrase it to say, subject to waivers to section 13.02 landscaping in accordance with the OHM letter, pages 1 and 2, with the exception of number 1, A and D, and the other two are fine. 3 is exactly,
yes,
yes. So for number 1, B and C, and number 3 on the waivers, and the then do your next one for the, that's number 1
yes.
on your summary that I wrote up.
Number 1, waiver identified in the OHM letter 1 and 2, section 1302 landscape to allow.
To allow, reference the OHM letter.
Referencing
in accordance
the
with the
OHM
OHM letter, number 1,
Number 1,
B and C,
B and C,
and number 3,
and number 3.
period. A variance to section 13.05 in accordance with number 2 of the OHM letter.
And a variance for section 13.05 for
13.02, right?
No, 13.05.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lighting. For lighting.
for variance for the light pole.
Yep. Per the OHM letter number 2.
Per the OHM letter, page 2.
Number 3.
Spoon people with
A
stuff. Number
revised
3.
site plan addressing.
Addressing all outstanding items of the planning commission and other agencies and departments.
Yep.
Wow.
Sure.
In regards to number 3, it talks about the Blue Point juniper. That is a shrub. It was proposed at 7 foot high to block the dumpster. So I know she's talking about changing it to 8 feet, but I believe we're currently meeting the.
My comment was only for the arborvitae trees on the south side, or sorry, excuse me, on the east side of the property.
And exactly what did you want with the arborvitae?
I believe you proposed 4 different kinds of arborvitae. As you stated, there were shrubs and these plants. My recommendation was to plant them either closer together and also intermingle them with other species so that in case of one, excuse me, one tree experienced disease or pests, it not spreading to the rest of the line. Do you not agree that that is common with arborvitae?
My problem with that is that the space that we have allowed there, it's going to be tough to plant other types that aren't going to cause major problems. And I'm talking about the southern part of the arborvitae. The northern part, I've already replaced those on the updated plan with other things, which I can rearrange those. If you want me to introduce other species intermingled in with the arborvitae, that is going to cause some problems.
How about we do this? These are things that oftentimes landscaping gets resolved as we move forward.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Could we approve this in accordance with the OHM letter?
Just as we stated, leave it alone.
Just as we stated, except with the exception of A and D, And number 1, we'll leave the rest of it alone, subject to administrative review and approval
Of landscaping.
of landscaping.
That's what I was trying to get at before.
Yes.
Sounds good to me.
Somebody second it.
Perfect.
What was the motion again?
Oh, come on.
I second Dan's motion.
Okay, so Dan, you made the motion?
Yeah.
Second, anybody?
Mr.
I second.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Burley. All righty, I have a motion for Mr. McAnally. All that. Supported by Mr. Proba. Okay. To approve SPR 202201 Global Truck Repair, subject to,
The conditions stated
yeah, but this
previously.
is stated over here.
Well,
You could,
Good luck with
our
that.
recording secretary is very good, and she will decipher them apart. We will combine them with our notes. You will then get them your next meeting, and if your notes don't match up with what it got transcribed as, with Cheryl transcribing them and Jeff and I reading them and throwing them at Lindsay for another look, if you just review to as discussed tonight.
Okay, so right now, we're technically approving this right now. You're subject to the items that we've talked about.
yes.
And giving the administration approval to make any
What are the
changes.
conditions?
To
What's
address the
condition?
landscaping administratively.
Right, okay.
So you're granting the waivers.
Right.
You're making the approval subject to a variance for lighting, so they got to go to BZA, and subject to a revised site plan addressing all of the outstanding items in all of these reports and things that you discussed tonight.
That sounds good. Motion by Carol. No. Okay, I have a motion from Mr. McAnally, supported by Mr. Prova. To approve site plan for SPR 202201, subject to what Carol said.
So,
Is that good?
Yes.
Any discussion? God help me. Okay. Mr. McAnally?
yes.
Mr. Prova?
Yes.
Ms. Jamison?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Bovoade?
Yes.
Mr. Gladfelty?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. We're approved.
Madam Chair, need to be excused.
Madam Chair. Good job.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Good night. You need to be excused.
Oh, you need to be excused? Oh, you gotta go work?
Absolutely.
Can I go?
Thank you very much. Sorry about the hesitation on some items, but, we had some strong opinions, but obviously you're the decision makers. Thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
Thank
You
you.
did make a very good presentation, by the way.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Now we have a public hearing.
I think we're done, right?
No. Now you have a public hearing.
All righty. Public hearing, 2023-001, zoning ordinance text amendments. Article 3, single-family residential district, Section 1, 3.04, accessory buildings, and Section 05, fences. And the recommendation the city council approve, deny, or postpone action. We can postpone them until next month.
You can. You can.
I wouldn't do that to you, Jeff. Already. And so, we're going to be the speaker on this.
Yep.
Should I open the public hearing first?
You're going to have him open the public hearing, and then he'll explain
Right, okay.
what it is.
So at this point, let the record show we have a file affidavit, first-class mail to somebody. If anyone wishes to speak on this matter, please raise your hand with your knowledge. Come to the microphone, give us your name, address, and your comments. Is there anyone that wishes to speak? Seeing no one, we will close that portion and open up to Mr. Kemp.
All right, these are some text amendments to the ordinance that we had brought a few months ago. We came to BZA and discussed them, and then we discussed them at Planning Commission. And they were really resident-driven by some cases that we had seen in the past. The first one is accessory structures on residential property with the max square footage requirements to, it's really seen more on yards that have the size and the room to meet all the setbacks, to meet all the requirements, except for they might have a 600 square foot garage already on the property. Now they want to build a 30 by 40 barn. They have plenty of room to meet lot coverage and everything, but I can't issue them a permit, and I have to tell them, well, you have to go seek a variance, and the next thing is a month away or a month and a half. So we were looking for a way to try to add some language for that would give us in the building department a leeway to, if those are met, that we could approve them without having to go set forth a variance. And so we added C and D in 3.04. The first was total detached accessory building sizes calculated by adding the ground floor square footage of all detached accessory buildings on the property. And D, the Building and Safety Department may administratively approve requests for increased total square footage of detached accessory buildings upon finding the maximum square footage is not increased by more than 40% and/or the maximum height is not increased by more than 25%. The Building and Safety Department shall consider the following in determining that the increase does not negatively impact surrounding properties, compatibility with surrounding land uses, size, height, and type of construction of proposed buildings and structures in relation to surrounding sites, adequacy of parking and access, adequate drainage, sufficient setbacks from road right-of-way and lot lines, potential noise, odors, dust, and glare, and other concerns which may impact the public health, safety, and general welfare. And for the accessory structures, it doesn't mean every single one would get approved. It just gives us in that window of that 40% with the max square footage, we have that window that, hey, if it meets everything else and we see that it works on this piece of property, then we can approve it without having to send it to go for a variance. And the way we go about that usually in my department is I don't just make that decision on my own. I usually concur. I talk to my inspectors, I talk to my ordinance officers, I talk to Carol. We find out everything we needed to find out about the property, then come up with a decision whether, okay, yeah, this one meets it, this one would be good. Any questions on that one?
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
So this is basically making it easier for the citizens to do things without
That's
having to go
exactly
through all
what this is about.
process.
Right.
So comment from the BZA is, it was geared towards streamlining for the residents. And historically speaking, we were giving them their variance anyways.
Right, but
It's
why
just
make them?
taking a hoop away from them
Right.
that they don't have to jump through.
Which is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is completely resident-driven for their satisfaction and ease of improvements.
And as you guys all know from your several hours of training, anytime you've got a zoning ordinance standard that you're getting repeated requests, variance requests for something about your ordinance isn't working. And so this is going to clean that up. Rather than having to meet that very, very strict standard of practical difficulty, which is hard to meet, there's got to be something so unusual about the piece of property to justify it. It takes it to a different level of review where it's more the impact on the neighbor, and there's that whole, as you just read, that whole list of things that has to be considered as part of the decision.
So does this also cut their cost as well as their time?
Yes, they wouldn't have to pay the
Yep.
fee, and they don't have to wait the time before we could issue a permit. Now, that's not to say that there's not going to be some accessory structures that they try that are over it that we deny because we don't think it fits well, that would still have to come to the board for a variance.
Right.
But the ones that we know are cut and dry,
Yeah.
it makes it a lot easier on the resident.
Yeah, like maybe 2 out of 10 requests
Yeah.
can be handled, 8 of them with this language.
Right.
It's going to raise the resident satisfaction level with the overall process
Exactly.
immensely.
And then the second part of that is 3.05, which is fences on corner lots. Same thing, we run into on the corner lots, they want a fence in their yard because they have a dog, or they don't want people cutting the corner or whatever it is. And if they live on a corner lot where the adjacent house faces the opposite way, which most do, on the street, then they can only fence in. They can't come past the side of the house because that's considered all front yard. So With this, we just wanted to add the language that the Building and Safety Department may approve requests for fences on corner lots upon finding the location and height does not negatively impact sight lines of neighbors and local traffic. And then keep in there, on corner lots, fences and walls located within a front yard shall maintain the road clear vision area requirement of section 12.07, and add corner lot fences should also be 1 foot from sidewalks to maintain a clear vision area, dependent if they were be able to get approved to come out that far. I've seen a handful, I've seen maybe three or four of these since I've been here, and I've seen more than that, but some of them just didn't work what they wanted to do, but some did, and we came for variances, and they were approved.
And they took our recommendations of like the 1 foot setback from the sidewalks, you know, hook a handlebar, or, you know, the angle of the fence, so you got the line of sight for backing out of your driveway. If they meet all those requirements, there's no reason for them to get a variance.
So I have a question. Had you considered a type of fencing? Because a chain link would work, but some of those privacy fences, it still will cause some problems with line of sight if it's too close.
And those would cause some problems with line of sight depending on the area. And then it also gives them the opportunity, if they wanted to do a privacy fence, and let's say they didn't come all the way out to the sidewalk, but right now, we can't let them come past the side of their house, because that's considered front yard, and they might have another 30 feet before the sidewalk. If they wanted to fence in a little more yard with privacy and not create any vision impacts, then they could fence in more yard and not have so much yard that they cannot fence in, if they wanted to go with that privacy.
Okay, so it would be reduced with privacy, but if it was like a chain link, then they could go further. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it basically boils down to just making sure the clear vision and safety is in mind first. So it just kind of depends on the lot, but yes.
And that's not, Jerry, you know from cases that you've seen, that when there is a sight distance issue, sometimes it's one material and a certain height to a certain point. In this way, it can all be worked out with the resident and with him.
And instead of it coming to a
figure out what's
corner,
best.
it angles.
Yeah.
So you get that.
Yeah, I like it, I like it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's basically
Any
all
other
of it.
questions?
So your job tonight is make a recommendation to City Council.
Okay, Madam Chairman, I make a recommendation to City Council for approval for TA 2023-001 zoning ordinance text amendments. They include section 3.04A3, accessory buildings, detached accessory building size, and 2, section 3.05A, fences, location, and height.
Support.
I have a motion from Mr. McAnally, supported by Mr. Frederick, excuse me, to recommend to City Council approval of so known as text amendment, right? For single-family residentials, that's TA 2023-001, section 3.04A and 3, and section 3.05A. Any discussion? Is that right?
Yeah.
No discussion? Mr. McAnally?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
Mr. Provo?
Yes.
Ms. Jamison?
Yes.
Mrs. Roscoe? Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Whoever you are. Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Boboade?
Yes.
Mr. Gladfelty? Oh, I'm sorry, he's excused. I'm waiting for him to answer. Chair votes yes, we recommend.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Okay, let's see what comes up next.
Not yet.
Item 9, PC cases, I'm sorry, did you have a question down there?
No.
Oh.
No.
PC cases involving advice or input from the planning commission?
Well, I did tell Mr. Gladfelty that we would talk about packet delivery time and other ways for you guys to get information sooner rather than later. We talked about this time because of the 4 cases, and a couple of them were put together earlier than the others. If it's something that you guys are interested in, particularly for those of you that look at these packets online, which you probably noticed the amount of information that would have been coming, Kayla did put in there for you to go further if you want to look at Wayne County permits and all of that, the blue sheets on a few of these projects. We are happy to do that. We are happy to do a partial packet, put it on the city website, let you guys know, here's your agenda, 2 of the 4 cases are ready for you. But we don't know how many of you actually use do look at things electronically versus your hard copies. And not to say that you won't get your hard copies, but if you wanted information earlier, if it was ready.
I would look at it electronically. It's not as easy and good, but I would certainly get a feel for
Start
the
looking at the
text.
review letters, and then the hard copies would be coming. Or we could make them and have the hard copies ready if you wanted to pick them up. So we're toying with some of that. We know that there's a lot of stuff in these packets, and, it seems like every single month, and how long have we been talking about this? How many years? It's right down to the end, and, we're still changing things, and then we even miss things like a summary memo that didn't make it into the packet, but got done tonight, so. We are, if you guys have any ideas, we are working, our best. We have got these guys, oh my goodness, we have them so overloaded, so overloaded. It's amazing that we get such great quality stuff that comes out from both OHM and Carlisle Workman. So, that's that. Did you want to talk about anything on the summary report?
Well, we got reports of interest designations.
Oh, that's right, that's
In case Mrs. Roscoe has anything to talk, Mrs. Roscoe has anything to talk about.
I don't have anything.
Nothing.
Come on.
Okay.
I don't think anybody is probably still up to listen to it.
Pay attention. Well, we are.
Don't we know it?
Okay, we have no reports tonight. Communications, project status report, I was looking at some of that stuff on there.
The timing on some of the stuff that you're seeing on here, it is very likely you will not have a June meeting while,
we have election of officers in June.
well, we'll have it in July then, unless you want to come in just for that.
No, we'll wait till July.
We can wait till July.
The big cases that we have in that are under review right now, probably our biggest one is the Pilot Travel Center. We're meeting on that this week.
Oh, the one over at Vining and,
If, for some reason, and Lindsay, you might know now because it's Monday in the meetings, if it's perfectly clean, we could schedule a public hearing on that for June. No, wait a second. No, we cannot. I think we're past the deadline.
Yeah, please don't push
Look
it.
at it. Yeah.
it's
It's likely it's going to need to be cleaned up.
It's okay. It's
Yeah, so, yeah, so that's a big one that you'll see in July. The other 2 big ones are Avis and Tesla. Avis is, basically, it's not the car rental, it's, where people actually do go and get their cars. It's actually just vehicle storage. It's surplus storage. As part of the airport reconfiguration, they need more space. They're actually redeveloping a kind of a messy site. A building's been torn down. It's got split zoning of C2, where the use is not allowed, but in the MT, the use is allowed, so they're proposing a conditional rezoning for that use. And then Tesla is a supercharger station right next to Sheetz up on Wick Road, part of the North Point development. Both of them are, the timing is good because of the long-term parking kind of aspects of them. With Tesla, we administratively made a similar use determination that it is most similar to long-term parking, although we do need some ordinance provisions to address EV charging stations, which our consultants are pulling some of that info in.
So does the Tesla supercharging station, that doesn't fall into the criteria what we were looking for over there for other businesses coming in?
that was my question I was just going to ask.
Like there's no door to walk in.
It is a special land use, so.
Yeah, but that's not what the.
I know, but it's not what he's supposed to have so many
It's supposed to be a door you can open and walk in.
buildings to, it's supposed to have so many, like,
I'm
sheets.
sure they've made in their argument, the North Point developers are working with Tesla, and they've been working with, I'm sure, I don't, read their.
Like that would
I
be
haven't
in
read their
addition
special-
to what they said they would do.
Right. Well,
with the different phases and
You know,
the potential.
So they should bring $1
I
million.
don't want to use the word fine, but
yeah, they should bring $1 million.
if they didn't follow through with what they said, then I don't see where this is following
Thing
through
is,
on that.
They seem to be riding high on the Sheets building. I think that's going to get them a lot. So,
So, okay.
anyhow,
No questions for Jeff on certain sites that are?
I have a question, Motown Sports.
Yes. We have a meeting on the 28th to go over, they had submitted a concept plan. We have a meeting the 28th that they requested for us to go over some of the review comments. Also, I met with them, I met with them last week as well and discussed what their phasing may be, what their timeline may be, any questions they needed for site plan submittal. And we have another meeting coming up the 28th. So,
is this the group that we said yes, we like the concept?
yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Just a couple little things, like the dentist office uptown, is that abandoned now, or what? The landscaping makes the whole place look abandoned.
The dentist office landscaping,
At 5
I
Points,
don't
yes.
believe it's
You
abandoned.
can't even see the windows for the shrubs.
Where's the dentist office landscape?
The dentist office at 5 Points.
I think it's.
Oh, yeah.
Next time you drive by, take a look at the place. You can't even see the windows.
Oh, wow.
That's not what the intent was, I'm
The
sure.
dentist office is closed?
No.
That's not what the intent was, and I
It
will,
looks closed.
Oh, yeah.
I will
And,
send Dave over there tomorrow.
Yeah, and the I-275 underpass at Here River Drive, nobody's making a move over there. Looks horrible.
Still standing still.
Yeah.
They could at least clean it up until they decide what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Because it don't look that way north of us. So that's what they need to get on board with.
Yeah.
It's I-275, it's their freeway, make it look nice up there, make it look nice here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just that, just be fair.
So I have a question for Carol and Jeff. Rise Church, where are they and what's the earliest, if they get everything done, that they can actually finally have their
There?
open
You have a city
house?
cert, and they do not have the reoccupancy in yet. So we haven't even looked at zoning compliance. I can't believe it's gonna be. Are they coming in for the parking lot expansion?
Not immediately.
Okay.
No,
Not immediately. They're
Yeah.
gonna lower their,
totally
they're gonna
different.
lower their occupancy for the parking that they have.
Right.
And then, but they have, I mean, they gotta turn in their reoccupancy, but they're working in the building. I mean, we've been doing inspections. Things are going pretty good. I don't know exactly on timing I don't even know when their push is to try to get final inspections as of yet.
It's like yesterday. Yeah, they're getting there. I spoke to them on Saturday. They're doing some work still.
Yeah.
So I did ask them where they were on that, and told them that get in touch with you or Carol. But
Yeah,
didn't-
I did an inspection over there myself. It's right towards the beginning. They had to run some plumbing and stuff. They had to cut some concrete out, and I went over there for that one, but Jim has been going over there. I'll talk to Jim in the morning to see how far along they came at this point.
They're pretty far on. I think
Yeah.
they just have to paint, drop in some floors.
Yeah.
Everything else, and hang some lights. I think other than that, that's about
But
it.
the plans were clean. The plans
Yeah.
were easy to review. They were really clean. Approved for the permit pretty quick.
Yeah, I think they're looking to only do half of what their occupancy their load can actually be, because their ministry is kind of new, so they're not even close to.
Yeah, and we had those discussions when we
Okay.
talked about the parking and everything first, and I talked to the fire chief as well when we were reviewing it, and we were like, well, we can just base occupancy on, doesn't necessarily have to be, if they base it on what they have and what the parking they have and what their congregation looks like, then we can agree to that in writing and go with that. And it kind of helps them on their parking side of it too, because the building size creates a lot more occupancy that could be there.
Do you know the address?
I want to say 34564? Could be.
Nope. Let's try Rise.
35456? Something like that.
Rise. I can't believe this thing opened so quick. There it is. 35445.
Okay. There we go.
35445 what?
He can tell you everything now.
So the last one they had was a insulation inspection, so now they're working towards, let me see where they're at. So if they had an insulation, so they got all the roughs approved, so now they're gonna be moving towards their finals.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
Any more questions? Good things.
I know.
If not, I'm reluctant to do this because nobody wants to stay. but
Say it.
Why don't we go ahead and adjourn it?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Mr. McAnally, supported by Ms. Jamison, to adjourn. Mr. McAnally.
Yes.
Ms. Jamison.
Yes.
Mr. Kroga.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Boboade.
Yes.
Mr. Frederick.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. This meeting